Peace, greetings to you all. It's your brother Naheem, BKA Lord Abba, aka Mr. Just the Facts. Tonight we are streaming from our new backup channel. While we get some issues resolved with our old channel. So if you would like to support the channel, of course, the super chat feature is not working on this channel as of yet. You can send your contributions via Cash App at BETHEPOWER. Share the video out, family. If it's your first time coming in, subscribe. As you share it out, please make sure you tell others to subscribe. Tonight, we are going to have a powerful discussion. The Reparationist Roundtable with those of us who are serious about doing this reparations work. We're just going to talk about some of the things that we reparationists are always having discussions about, but we're going to talk about it to you all. We have a couple guests that are going to come on tonight and fill out our roundtable. Real reparationists, people that have been putting in work and are ready to put in more work. That's why I named the subtitle Movement, Direction, and Destination, right? Because you need movement. You need movement to get things moving. It's just as simple as that. You need direction. You need direction to get to the destination. Our problem is what we're doing here as reparationists is unprecedented. So the best guide that we have is history. And this is why we have been coining and using the Freedman moniker, because it's something that's established in the records. And through its history, the history of the Freedmen, we are able to get a clearer picture of the direction by which our ancestors and the government was moving. So let's without further ado, I'm gonna first shout out my team, BTP, my brother Dr. Logic, my brother Ali, and my brother Josh.
Wow.
Yeah, we gonna bring on our guests, Sister Dawn Page and Sister Tara Perry. Sister Dawn is making her first appearance on Be the Power. So Sister Dawn is in Clubhouse tearing it up. Sister Tara is right there with her. What I want to do is I want to give you both the opportunity to introduce yourself. I want to start with Sister Dawn, being that it's her first time on Be the Power. And we'll go with our Sister Tara, talk about a little bit of your background, some of the work that you put in, et cetera, et cetera.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dawn. New page on Twitter. And I'm on Clubhouse. And like Lord Abba just said, but I've been a Democratic, a loyal Democrat for, I guess, all of my voting life. I have volunteered in various capacities over the past, I'd say, 15 years, and then, became disaffected with the political system because it just wasn't working for our community. And it was at that time that I became aware of the Reparationist movement. I met Dr. Darity after stumbling across the ADOS 101 website. I noticed that it was predicated on the intellectual property of someone named Dr. William Darity. And so when I researched him, I realized that he lived right here in North Carolina and was a professor at the Samuel Dubois Cook School of Economics and Public Policy at Duke University. So anyway, I went to meet him. And once we had a discussion and, I was sold on the data. The data is what did it for me. And I've been in the movement ever since. I started a chapter here in North Carolina, an ADOS chapter. I've recently separated from the ADOS movement. I've been writing policy with my own activism, concern Black American citizens. and I write policy briefs specifically for descendants of the United States chattel slavery, or for quote unquote African Americans or ADOS. So I'm now working with the Reparationist Collective, and I'll turn that over to Tara.
Thanks.
Or whoever.
Whoever. Well, hello everyone. I'm Tara Perry, and I am an activist here in Los Angeles. I'm also an elected official here in South Central. I started Black Pact in 2016, the day after Trump was elected, to create a central hub of information where Black Americans at the time did not have ADOS or that specificity yet. It wasn't popularly known. So I created Black Pact, PACT. I felt that we needed a central hub to go to get information for Black politics, so we can engage in conversation, so we can run candidates, so we can endorse candidates, so we can truly go through the things that are on our ballots in different areas, and just really have a place for us to commune and do Black politics. I started an ADOS chapter. We officially inked it in January 2019, and I'd been in the movement that way. I was looking to partner with ADOS as the research team for Black Pact, and it just didn't go that way. But I still joined the movement because that's what I cared about, and really found a mission. Recently, Black Pact actually created the Reparationist Collective, and which is another arm that specifies the legislation for reparations for American descendants of slavery, and for us Black folks. So, y'all are all part of the collective. It's a bunch of different organizations. And I felt like we needed a place to stop the bickering and the division on nuances, and actually really focus on the mission of reparations. And we're so happy to partner with Dawn and for her to come on as our director of public policy to really help us move this forward, to take the sentiment of reparations. And we know that we need it. We know that we deserve it. We're entitled to it. And let's make it legislative. Let's push it forward. Black Pact is where real political, academic conversations and theory meets direct action. And we're at a point where we have to engage in direct action now.
Indeed, indeed. All right. So what I want to do is I'm gonna let the bros come in and build. I want to start with movement, right? So I have movement, direction, destination, and movement is getting the process started. Right? Having the march in DC, for instance, and this is movement. These are things that we thought, and I'm trying to be easy, but I don't know about be easy. So, but these are the things that we thought were going to happen with that other movement, right? So I want my brother Logic to come in, and then let's build on movement a little bit, insofar as how we need to move this thing, and then the bros, y'all just jump in.
Yeah, peace, yo. So when we talk about movement, right, we talk about energy and work, and then we talking about reparations and being reparationist. We've been putting out education. A lot of people been educating the people, and what we're talking about is a people's movement, the restoration and the repair of our families' damage and what has happened here in this country. You know what I'm saying? So everyone has a role to play. Anyone who knows me, when you talk about a movement, that movement, you have to be, your proximity to the way you ignite that base has to be close. So everybody knows Logic is about local and state politics, because that's where all politics is local. That's where it starts. Your U.S. senators and representatives, they come from where you live. You understand? So all politics are local. And if you don't have power, you can't move anything. Power is the motivating factor behind all movement. Without power, you can't move your arms. Without power, you can't get up out the bed in the morning. So if we want to have a movement, we have to be serious about our acquisition of power. And that starts right in our backyard and at home. So every real movement has to have a power base. So as reparationists, we have to understand what our position is, who we are, where we live at, and understand the relationships that need to be built to create power and exercise power, because a lot of us have power, but we don't know how to exercise power, right? And so we have to exercise power where we live so that can be spread out and then work with others who are doing the same. Now we have a real movement, right? Now we have a real movement. Now we can get things going. But oftentimes we get sidetracked by things, and we have to stay focused on the mission and understand what the goal is, because when you're moving, you see a lot of things when you're moving, and you can easily see something and be, hey, let's go over there, let's go over there. We have to have a movement that is focused and that has real leadership. You can't have a movement without real leadership. And people in this day and time, because of what the crack era has done, right? It has destroyed the movements that we knew and that we grew up on and was educated on. And it has assassinated and destroyed the leaders that we knew and was raised on and was told stories about. So we haven't seen real leadership, true leadership in a long time, right? Not to say that there are no leaders around, but it hasn't been to the level that it once was. We are still coming out of the damage and the horror that was the crack era and the crack epidemic that destroyed families and communities all over the country, right? So we haven't seen what real dedication and sacrifice looks like on a national level. We have to go back and rebuild that at home. So until you can champion, so a real movement is going to be championed by those people in their backyard, making those fights at home, becoming a somebody, building relationships with the community and the people at home. Then that's how a national movement gets spread. You see, because if they know your name at Washington, but then they call and try to check up and they're like, who is this individual? They call at home and don't nobody, I ain't never heard of that person. I don't know who that is. Then they be like, oh, that ain't nothing. That's going to fizzle out. So a real movement has to have a base. It has to have roots, and everybody's roots is home. So we have to make sure that we are doing what is necessary to create the base and be the power at home. So to me, when we talk about movements, it starts right in your own backyard. And Josh, you can jump in. Graham, anybody else want to jump in? Because, you know, I talk all night.
Brother Josh.
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Peace,
Let's add Brother Dante to the stream as well. But
peace, fam.
Wait, let's let Brother Dante introduce himself first real quick, Josh, and then you come in and go in on movement. Brother Dante, introduce yourself. Let people know where you're from. You know what type of work you're doing.
Okay, obviously my name is Dante. I'm president of ADOS New Jersey out here. So the work that I'm doing out here is real simple. Reparations, right? Reparations and the Black agenda. So that's what we're about out here in New Jersey. And also I'm glad to be here with other brothers and sisters who are about the same work. So that's what we're about.
All right. So Brother Josh, like give us a brief breakdown on movement, right? Because we need movement to get moving, right?
Well, I wanted to come from a different perspective, and I heard the word movement used several times on this broadcast before we even got to the point. But I wanted to make something clear. I believe we were in a specific movement, and we still are in that movement. I believe most of us understood that we were in a movement for reparations, and a specific Black agenda to remedy the issues that our community is facing and our people is facing historically and currently. There's a difference between, and this difference was even highlighted by, a prominent a figure in that organization. There's a difference between a movement. The movement is for reparations, and the organization might be something else. It might be the organization might have a specific name, but the movement is for reparations. So, if anybody has a disagreement with that, just go check a pastor, and see what he say on that. So I just want to say the movement that we're talking about is a movement that is required to awaken and energize and mobilize the vast majority of our people who descend from chattel slavery, is something that, like my brother Elijah said, it has to start from a local level. It has to start from just on an individual level, and it has to start internally within you. Like, I feel like an individual even has to move himself, and it's so hard to stay focused because we got life is happening. You got all these different factors. So a part of even moving yourself is immersing yourself in the issues that are pertinent to keeping you engaged in the mentality that you need to energize your people in your community, your family, other people online. You're gonna have to stay engaged in that. You keep that information in front of you. Like I do a lot of different things. I look at news and Twitter news updates. I different Facebook groups or whatever social media groups I'm in. I try to stay in that environment, and that kind of keeps you on board, and that kind of keeps you in the game to where you don't lose focus. Keep yourself around other people that's trying to move in that same direction and be a part of that movement. And so those are some key things that I think about. Just on now, y'all can get into some other elements that I just thought about, just on a personal level, how you need to move yourself so you can move like as initials and daily steps, so you can continue to help move with other people and move yourself.
Definitely. We got our sister Angela Nirvana in the building. Introduce yourself, sis, with that strong fist of power that you wield.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Introduce yourself to the people real quick, and just briefly tell them, some of the things that you're doing. We just having a discussion right now, so we going with movement, direction, and destination. So right now we just talking about movement, but being that you just came on the panel, I want you to introduce yourself to the listening family.
It's Angela Nirvana, your hostess with the mostest from the Friends of ADOS TV channel, bringing you those ADOS hot topics and making the case for reparations, making the case for weaponizing the vote and socializing our suffering. And today, I'm with Be the Power in the house. I'm with Dante and Grim and Josh and Logic and Naheem and Dawn and Tara. And I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me. The name of my new show, inspired by Arthur Ward, inspired by Be the Power, is called The Reparationist Perspective. So you'll be seeing me transition all of my channels in that vein. Thank you for having me.
Oh, definitely.
You always welcome on this joint.
That's right.
As you are my shows. I thank you so much for the collaboration. It's wonderful.
Definitely.
I'm
I'm
thrilled.
gonna get to your question, KT. Brother Grimm, what are your thoughts on movement? And we want everybody to jump in on this question, right? We just want this to be the initial framework of how we set this conversation off before we venture off into various other topics. Brother Grimm, what are your thoughts on the movement aspect of this three-pronged element that is our reparations fight, etc.?
Peace to all the panel. It's good to be in good company of all you beautiful people.
Yeah.
I just want to say real quick, with movement, basically movement is caused by something, and movement is caused actually by a stimulus or stimuli, and this movement is caused by the stimuli that we realize that after 300 something odd years and Reconstruction, which we've been dealing with a lot lately through Reconstruction, Jim Crow, the Civil Rights era, as Logic pointed out, through the crack era, and through all of these eras, we seeing that nothing is actually changing from us. We're making a few strides, but we see that there's a gap.
in wealth. There's a gap in social justice, economics, and things of that nature. So the movement is about moving forward towards those things that fully make us true American citizens. And, we hadn't been afforded the rights and the privileges and the benefits of being American citizens. We basically, we might as well be living in ancient India under a caste system, because we living in actually a hidden caste system, and they've been throwing all kinds of distractions to keep. So this movement, believe it or not, is basically guided by the ancestors. We give people credit for bringing certain things forward, but the bottom line is that this is a spirit movement, and our ancestors, they still alive, they not dead, they pretty much here with us, and they bringing us towards movement, and we moving forward towards getting justice for our people, and part of that justice is reparations.
Definitely. Sisters, let's get the sisters up in here. Then we're gonna go to Brother Dante. Sister Dawn, let's build on movement. What does, when you hear that word movement in the way it's laid out, movement, direction, and destination, and we start at movement, what does that mean to you? How does that look? How does that, how does that sound to you?
I think I believe that reparations is from the ground up. That's the fight that we are going to have to, it's going to have to become like a beehive or an anthill that spreads out and creates pressure from the ground up. And I'm optimistic about where we're at right now. I feel like we're right on track, that we are having these not divisions, but reapportionments. We had to kind of pull things apart. They were kind of stuck together a little awkwardly, and kind of impeding our forward movement. And I think we've had some clearing of the air. A lot of new information has cleared up a lot of questions that have been out there. And I think that, we have a clear path ahead to come together, to start with a clean slate. And I think there's a lot of upside, and I won't go too much into my opinion on that, but I'm very optimistic about the movement, and feel like we're basically have gotten some trash out of the way.
Definitely.
But you are welcome to go into your opinion if you choose to.
Oh, I'm trying to be Dawn 2.0, and
okay, yeah, we need Dawn 2.0 tonight. We was on a
starting tomorrow.
look, we was on a Zoom. Look, we was on a Zoom call last week.
Y'all should see her clowning on my cell phone. She being nice.
One mic. I was like, we not on Clubhouse right now.
Don't come correct now.
We don't even run like that on Clubhouse.
All right, Sister Kara.
I want to contribute. Like in terms of movement, right? Like we needed something that's really going to spark the people and get us excited to move. That's the galvanizing of our people, right? We need to then follow up with the organizing, so we know in what direction we're going in. And then from the organizing, then we have movement. So I think a lot of people miss some steps, right? Because there are a lot of more recent movements. And as Kwame Ture said, if we're not careful, we may let the movement become an event. And if we don't do the proper work to support what we're doing, all this galvanizing, all this educating, it's going to be an event, and it's going to just be gone. And we're going to miss that moment. And that's why a lot of us got together and decided, no, we cannot miss this. And we have to truly organize our people to mobilize us into the proper direction in which we're going into.
Definitely. All right, I got it. Before we come to Sister, I'm gonna go to Sister Angela Nirvana, then I'm gonna go to Don.
Burning up. Get your family, Angela.
I'm laughing at the comments.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up. I'm
Me
pulling it up.
too.
So this timeout person who's
Me too.
wishy-washy
Oh, and
sometimes
y'all just took
supports
the
us
pin out. You said
and
I didn't have to
sometimes doesn't support us.
2.0 until tomorrow.
BLM. That's great.
How much is BLM paying
Wow,
BTP?
that's wild.
You know,
About
it ain't no 10 billion. That's what it ain't.
about as much as Be the Power is paying all of us to convert to the Be the Power gods. That's about as much.
So we just laughing at you, timeout, whoever you are.
You need to be timed out.
You need to be timed out.
You need to be put on time.
You need to be timed out.
One is 2.0 tomorrow.
Go sit in the corner.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just laughing because Dawn is on her best behavior. But if I showed y'all my thread in my phone, y'all see the clubhouse Dawn. Anyway, movement for me is rooted in love for American descendants of Chattel slavery. The movement take cat naps, you see. The movement is not about YouTube and personalities. The movement doesn't sleep. We're like constantly in conversation. When you try to tie our hands in one respect, we just go find the folks that are doing the work. The movement doesn't stop, just because we come to the defense of our own name, our own brand, our own comrades. The movement is forever. And God has commissioned each and every one of us to move. And so a mind once stretched by the truth can never return to its original dimension. And you can try to run from this, but God will eventually bring you an experience to help you understand that he gave you a position for you to use it to tell Pharaoh to let your people go. Okay. Your success is not your own. And so you got a lot of Black folks, not many. I mean, we know the circle that's doing well. We know the circle that is degreed and have a professional life and are homeowners and doing quite well for themselves. But your success is not your own. It is not okay for 10% of us to be unicorns.
Right.
I'm not satisfied until all of us are unicorns. Everybody who wants to be a unicorn gets to be a unicorn. And that's what I'm on. And so I tried for the longest to run from this. I said to myself, if you just become a credit to the race, focus on your education, focus on your professional resume, just, keep your eyes single. If each one of us pulls ourselves up by our bootless straps, then we will be free. And then Wells Fargo happened to me. And I realized that institutional systemic racism knows no pedigree. I simply don't have the complexion for the protection, you see. And so if it's happening to me and the recession hits and my home is on the line, okay, Bank of America was literally trying to foreclose on my home while dragging me through a 2.5 year loan modification process. But God, okay, came big and delivered a mortgage, permanent principal loan reduction, and cut the mortgage completely in half. I can live here in California, 20-minute walk to the beach for cheaper than what most folks live in Texas. You hear me? That's nothing but God. That's that God energy that drove each and every one of us to understand that our success is not our own. We are to use our voice and whatever gifts and talents he's given us to help lift the people who want to be unicorns. And so the movement is born from your circumstance and from you understanding that it's for the collective. This is about collective upliftment. I'm not okay that I'm in a house and that I've got education when I understand how most of us got there is by way of institutional systemic racism. I cannot rest until I eradicate that with that check in the trillions over multi-generations. That's what the movement is to me.
Definitely.
Well said. Well said.
Very well said. I don't know how I'm gonna follow that up. Sister
Yeah,
Angela, you're great.
I didn't know we were soapboxing. I didn't
That's what you do. Hey, listen,
I'm
family.
gonna be very short with
I'm a
mine.
soapbox, right?
Yo,
You know I'm a
listen,
soapbox.
family.
Nobody, if you watch my show, if you know me,
Yeah.
and Don knows me, I am a soapbox.
I was like, that's Angela.
Yeah,
You might as well say
everybody. This is
Angela's
y'all.
soapbox Nirvana.
This is a home from home. This is open for everybody to speak how they want to speak, talk how they want to talk. Don't be no
This is
different.
me.
I'm Don. You ain't no stranger. Don't act like one tonight. Get it. Do what you need to do.
Cool.
Say what you need to
I'm
say.
trying to measure. I'm trying to do a slow. I'm trying to do a slow burn.
Okay, I guess.
No,
We all
I
family.
would say
Guess
my
what?
fire for the current.
And I'm trying to leave it all on the floor. I'm trying to leave it all on the floor. Wherever
That's
I
right.
go, I leave it all on the floor. When
That's
I get
right.
off the lives, I am exhausted. I'm sweating. I need a rag. Somebody needs, you understand. I am Angela Soapbox Nirvana. These people know. They understand who I am. I see some of these names. They familiar with the brand. They know.
Yeah. Brother Dante, what you got, bro?
Wow. But movement to me, all right, the root word of movement is move, right? So obviously you have to be moving towards a particular strategic goal or particular aim or cause. So you know, for me, movement, like without people galvanizing behind a cause, there is no movement, right? So you know, when I think about it, I really look at the who's really inside the movement or in terms of that collective theory. And I keep hearing over and over again, the Black family, right? And without the Black family, there's really no Black movement. So, you know, and that's where leadership really begins, is inside of your household. And with that, you know, whether you're ADOS, descendants of freedmen, whatever you might be, right? I would say that movement begins there. You teach the children that they're a part of, they're tied to the community. The community is bigger than who they are. They're still important, right? But then now let's bring it back full circle. Okay. We are fighting for future generations. That's why we need reparations. Our ancestors got us this far, right? So we owe it to them, right? We owe it to our elders. So that's what I think about. Like I think about all of that. We're all tied together as one huge unit, as one big family. And without us, right, fighting for reparations and a repair and a Black agenda, you know, we would be definitely letting our ancestors down, especially MLK, Malcolm X, and all of them. We'd be letting them down. So that's a movement to me.
Nice.
Okay,
That's
definitely.
nice.
Definitely. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving.
Before, yeah, go ahead. Come on now.
Okay, I want to add on to that because I think one of the things I'm excited about is finally, you know, the freedom of being able to, you know, really maximize all of our different skill sets. And one of the things that we really need to do to make this happen, of course, is to, you know, to breach this disconnect, this generational disconnect that was created by the drug war, the, you know, the mass incarceration, and also the buffer class, the huge wealth gap that exists within the Black community, and just the you know, literal abandonment of the lower income Black family. And I just think that finally we're going to be in a position to do some grassroots, you know, community organizing around the racial wealth gap, you know, also incorporating the lineage aspect of it, but really critical to get the electorate or to get our community to understand that it's policy and not party that we should be organizing around.
That's right. Talk to them.
Yeah, and I think it's just it's a shift in our mentality on how we go about building power bases. And when we realize that what we've seen over the last 60 years is the Democratic Party coming in and essentially siphoning off of our energy. You know, the community organizers that come and connect with the community are not the ones who are eventually going to be the politicians. And so you have the community pouring all of its hopes and aspirations into these community organizers, but that never seems to translate into the elected official. And so we have this disaffected, you know, electorate or potential electorate. And I think once we shift toward policy and registering people around the platform, I don't know if it necessarily has to be a party, but definitely a platform, and registering votes locally, and that becomes your power base, that you basically become your own leverage. So instead of people coming into our communities, whipping us up, gaslighting us, all just to get us to the polls and drop us off, now we're actually building power bases because we're organizing around specific policies. And whoever wants our vote is basically going to have to say, well, yes, I buy into that, those 6 demands, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm excited about this new way of organizing that we're going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's outstanding. I wanted to come in on that because you said a couple of things that are near and dear to my political heart. And one of them is voter registration. And somebody asked me, what do you do about the apathetic voters and the people who are not interested in voting? They don't care nothing about no politics, right? I was asked that question. And then when we're talking about movement and how you get people to move, right? And it's not just any old type of movement. We're talking about political movement, move politically in a political way, right? How do you get them to do that if they so disinterested with politics? So now we have to go back to this, right? The fundamental aspects of getting people involved in anything. You have to build a relationship with these people. If you want these people to be interested in what you're interested in or in what you know is best for them, you have to build a relationship with these people. Well, how do I do that? Do I just be friends with everybody? No, it's through the social programs of an organization that gets the people involved. When you have identified what the people need, right? The social needs of your community, who knows better what those needs are than you? You from there, right? So if you know what programs the people need. So you create the social programs. You had the greatest organization, in my opinion, was the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. Everybody remembers the guns, but nobody talks about the programs. So they knew that the Women's, Infant, and Children program was a necessity in the community. They knew that the free lunch and the free breakfast program was a necessity in the community. They knew that the protection patrols was a necessity in the community, right? So they created the programs and they did what the community needed. And them brothers and sisters did so much work, built so much relationships. The people who weren't interested in politics, it didn't matter because they cared about you. So if Angela Nirvana and Tara and Dawn Page are out here working with the community, right? The people still may not never be interested in politics, but because they care about you, they're gonna be like, you know what? If you be like, yo, we need to support this person over here. We need to support this person. They'd be like, you know what? They said it. I'm rocking with them. They're my people. I'm going to go and do this. I've done this myself personally. I know it works. Mm-hmm. I know people who don't care nothing about politics, and I got them to vote. You understand? And get people over the hump.
Relational organizing 101. It's that the people come for the cause, but they stay because they like you.
That's right. It's all about relationships. And that's why this thing has to start local. You can't have these long distance relationships with people you barely know and think that's going to generate some power and some traction. It starts with the people, your next door neighbors and the people down the street, the barbershop, the beauty salon, places that you meet and greet. You have to start. We can't be afraid of each other. You got people that live down the street. You don't even talk to them. You don't even know who they are. You understand? Like that's not how we're going to get this thing moving. We have to start really getting back when those movements were doing those great things that we always talk about. These communities knew each other. They didn't. Your Sister Jones and Brother Williams, they wasn't like seeing each other and walk right past each other, don't even speak. You understand? So we have to start get back to the relationship building fundamentals of community development before we can actually sustain a movement for a long period of time, right? We have to cultivate at the basic level, because if we do too much too fast, right? You can move too fast and lose your footing and fall down and bust yourself all up. So you have to, before, like Sister Tara was saying, you have to get organized first. And what needs to be at the basis of, after you build these relationships and then you start organizing, right? What has to be at the root of these movements is the education thing. Because if you don't have no education, people are getting the movement for all the wrong reasons. They'll get in because their emotions is stirred up. So you got them and they think it's an emotional thing. Or they see you working and doing fundraising. They think they might try to get in it for some money, and they think it's all about the finances. So if you don't have a serious education program, right? So you got to have the social programs, right, to build the relationship. Then you have to have a strong education program you put on top of that so people can understand what the movement is about and what they really involved in, right? Then now you can make an educated choice on whether you want to be a part of this thing or not. But if without no education, the people that you're trying to liberate or the person that's leading these people to a destination might end up becoming the oppressor themselves because they don't got no education. So now they get the money, right? They get the influence, they get the notoriety and the power, and they be saying, well, hell, well, what I got to do any liberating for? I could just run these people and rule them, and I could be their slave master, right? Because they don't have the education to know that look, that's not what this thing is about. It's not about the money. It's not about the fame or the notoriety. It's about the people. And if your education, you have to have a people's education. Your political syllabus got to be about the people, right? It's all about the people. And that's how you know if the movement is going in the right direction. If it's not about the people, it's wrong.
Well said.
Amen.
Yeah, I can't add a whole lot to that except for, when he was talking about, go and talk to your neighbor and get to know the people in your community. It just made me think about a program I was watching, a week or so ago. It was shout out to Politics in Black, Brother Chad, Sister Friday. On their program, they were interviewing two people from SNCC. I think one was out of New York. I want to say he sounded like, and another one was somewhere in the South. Forgive me for forgetting the names of these elders, but the topic on the program, they were talking about how organizing today and the difference between how they can move and take action and get people galvanized in those days versus today. And he was like, man, back in the day, and this was with no social media, of course, no cell phones, they can make a phone call and have tens of thousands or 100,000 people ready to move at a moment's notice. They could snap a finger and have all these people. Whereas today, that's not the case. And you touched on it before, Brother Logic. Really the things that happened since then that destroyed our communities and sense of community and just understanding what community is, and probably the most damaging and something that we need to talk about. And I think it needs to be amplified more in our generation's claim for reparations is definitely that crack era. That was like the nail in the coffin almost to our sense of community. But we need to build and pick up the pieces and do what we can to build back that sense of community. And I think the cause of achieving the reparations claim and specific policies and understanding that we are a specific tribe just understanding that gives you somewhere to start to help build that back.
Definitely. I think Sister Angela was trying to jump in, but let me say real quick, I guess this kind of segues into the next leg of the discussion, which is direction. Brother Logic was breaking down what needs to be done locally, and he used the Black Panther Party for self-defense as a model that we can all utilize in our locales to be successful at getting people to the polls that might not necessarily be interested in politics. But I think with the, I guess I could call it the circus presidency of Donald Trump with all of the media and all of the other stuff that came with it, I am of the belief that at the minimum, political awareness is more heightened now among our people than it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So I think that, this leg of the discussion is, as we get into direction, and how we should move it. But Sister Angela, if you want to go in on that, and how should what we're doing be steered? And let me say, because we really don't have successful precedents, right? I can't say we've never received the reparations, because we did at some point, some of us actually received the 40 acres and a mule. It was just that once Andrew Johnson got in office after they murdered Abraham Lincoln, they took it back. So we were never able to have a realization of what it would be like to be Americans, to be full American citizens. So if you could give us a little bit of breakdown, go into what you were going to say and then get into the direction part, and then we'll swing it back around. Matter of fact, I'll go to Grim after that, and then we'll go to Sister Tara, then Dante, and I come back to Dawn. It seemed like Dawn kind of touched on the direction piece, but we'll still come back to you, sis. Yeah, go ahead, Sister Angela. Unmute yourself, sis.
Thank you. I just want to respond to KT. Shout out to you. You were speaking on involving the Gen Zs and making sure, we engage them politically. Well, shout out to BETHEPOWER. I know you guys have a youth segment where you allow the kids to come on, the Gen Zs to come on and rap about politics and how it relates to their world. But understand this, your children will be as political as you are. I had the great privilege of speaking with Dr. Norris Shelton, today. And I spoke with him about how hard this reparations fight is, because I felt that the boomers got affirmative action, got their good paying factory jobs and purchased their homes after the fight for civil rights, and just left this chasm, between the Gen X and the boomers. Like, I'm really just becoming politically astute since Obama. When I looked up, and the state of affairs for my people were still the same after running to the polls twice and being promised, okay, second term, okay, when he gets out. Like, we're still waiting for Obama to be for the very people who got him into office. It was then that I started getting politically engaged, found Breaking Brown, and started watching when she was actually with Boyce. I don't even think it was Breaking Brown then. But anyway, the bottom line is, I just feel like so much time has been lost, because although my father was, Black Panther, he really didn't teach me politics. He taught me pride. He taught me history, but he didn't teach me how to be political. He didn't even teach me that we could have a lot of people that look like me be in politics and still do nothing for me. I wasn't prepared. So I often feel out of breath trying to play catch up. But what's distinctly different between my experience with my family being apolitical and not really engaging me in that process is, very early on, I started taking my daughter to the polls, even when I didn't have understanding, even when I was stuck on identity politics with Obama and didn't vet him at all, didn't vet the VP at all, didn't even know to do any of that, right? Had I known Biden's record, I'd have never voted for Obama. But I've gotten my daughter involved very early. And even though she is not sitting here on the shows with me or engaged in that way, she sees me every day moving on behalf of the people. She hears my conversations. She hears the shows when she's in her room. You think they're otherwise distracted, but they're watching us. They're taking their leads from us. So today she comes into my room, she's on a final exam. And when she starts to read the paper to help me make it more cohesive and make it flow, all of my talking points are in the paper. All of my talking points. And she's got an A. And she says, Mom, the teacher is reading my paper as I'm typing it. She can see. And so she says, in the end, when she turned the final product in there, she said her teacher had a big old Kool-Aid grin on her face and told her, great work, Genesis. And so she's speaking on Black Lives Mattering. She talked about economic injustice and that Black lives don't really matter unless we are economically included. She was going in. I found that she was me for her peer group. And she talked about the pain of having to write this paper, of having to talk about the George Floyd incident. Our children are traumatized by what's going on to the point where they feel choked, but now she's got this space in her high school to speak on it. And it's still hard for her because she's got to relive it to talk about action, steps of action to take to remedy it. So I say to each of you that are watching, your children will do as you do. The fact that you are spending your time to watch the new Black media to become more politically engaged and learn what's going on with your people, the fact that you have found your tribe, you keep talking, you keep sharing. It's impacting our children in a mighty grand way that if we don't get the reparations in our lifetime, they are sure to. They're listening and watching everything we do. Now, back to your question, Naheem. You said direction. Well, nothing is different for me when I think in terms of direction. It's still very closely tied to how I move. What I have found in all of the things I've experienced in, the implosion of my chapter, the implosion of my super PAC, the implosion of this movement at large, is that I've stayed consistent. No matter how many times I've been dragged, no matter how many names I've been called, I learned early on when my chapter exploded that it is imperative for me to always go back to one. What am I here for? The people and the reparations. So I cry me a river. I talk to my comrades who support me, and I pick myself up and I dust myself off. And even if there is one person over on the Friends of ADOS TV, now the Reparationist perspective, I come over there and I give my show because the direction is in doing what we're doing right now. The fact that 85% of the electorate voted Biden-Harris shows me where the most work needs to happen. And that is informing the people that you are not the decadent veil that you celebrate. You may have income, but you don't have wealth. And this is what you're owed. On the low end, $104 trillion and $735 billion annually. Okay? And I got some new math as soon as I get the rest of them numbers together. So it's about educating them. You must educate them on what the true value of what they've done here. You must educate that you are the legs of that table, that you are now the anchor of this country. And as we wake people up to that idea, now we can weaponize the vote and socialize the suffering. Now we can understand the value of a super PAC and why we must take our dollars to make 40 million aggregated dollars to get full-chested reparationists like Tamara Johnson Shealy into office, and Tara Perry, who ran for councilwoman here in District 8. Okay, we need to take over government at every level with full-chested reparationists. But I don't understand that until I understand the value of my ancestors' blood and bones in this soil. And so the direction is continue to capitalize on these social media spaces. You guys continue to like, share, subscribe, donate. You guys donate to the PACs that are out here. And I mean, the ones that are driven in reparationists like the Equity Advocates PAC. Shameless plug. You must do these things because you see people are telling you no while continuing to collect their bag. They want to convince you that you don't have enough money to do your politics when they know, if they've worked on the Hill, that the only way you get reparations is to have full-chested reparationists in office. And right now, I see them more on weaponizing immigration against us than I do see the current lames in office that look like us fighting for economic inclusion. And like my daughter finished her paper in the famous words of me, dollars bring dignity and poverty makes us a target. So the direction is keep doing what you're doing, despite who slings rocks and arrows at you. You keep doing you, boo-boos. Thank you.
I wanted to, I wanted to talk about like in terms of direction. I think we talk about when people want to know what direction we should go in, and we are a young movement, and now the structure that we did have, or what we thought we had, the ADOS chapters has morphed and changed into something else. We don't know what that's going to look like, and we now have the assembly that hopefully will step into that place where the ADO, or the support network for the ADOS chapters, which it has been all along actually, and nothing new actually has happened except that ADOS HQ has come into the scenario. But I just wanted to talk about, in terms of organizing, it's, go out, talk to your family, educate yourself on the lineage wealth gap. You should understand the racial wealth gap, because when you do, then you understand how to look at problems. You understand what universalism is. You understand that you can't, use a Band-Aid to fix a surgical wound. But I wanted to also point to, in terms of direction, just sort of a new sense of obligation that I think needs to develop between the buffer class, which I'm definitely a part of that socioeconomic group, and I see the disconnect and the disinterest in people of lower income status, or lower socioeconomic status. And I think that, the educated class, the buffer class, however we want to call them, has to accept the responsibility. They have to hear, or open their ears and hear, this call of the ancestors that shows us that this house is on fire. You have people, educated ADOS, or educated descendants, who need to understand this data and need to understand how immigration is weaponized against our community, and understand how that translates into positions of power. And then those people are in positions to write policies that impact us, and to make that case, to the people, to the average Joe on the street. I think is not that difficult. That these things can be broken down, that policies, that the system is structured against you, and actually you haven't been voting because you haven't been getting anything out of the system. And guess what? You are the one who has the only integrity in this entire voting, ecosystem. Sure, the Democrats can go out and at the last minute lure some voters to the polls with some food and some dancing and whatever, but there's still that huge disaffected mass that I think Ja'Cory Arthur was able to tap into, and it just clicked in my head of who it was that he got to vote. It was the people that no one ever goes to see, not even at the last minute in the GOTV, that last push. But I think I want to introduce into, just like we're talking, and I think what we're moving toward is the Reparationist Collective, where I'm coming from concerned Black American citizens, is recentering the Black family. And looking at the Black family, whatever shape that comes in, whatever formation and amalgamation that comes in, but that family unit, that wealth unit, wealth and culture, wealth and support, to center that in the messaging, and also to a call out to the buffer class to acknowledge the privilege that they have, and that the failed sense of responsibility, or the fact that they have failed. Or I guess maybe it should be that at my age, I think when you get into your 50s, that's when people start to become more politically active. They sort of establish themselves, they've had their kids, which is where I am. My children are in their 20s. And now I have the time to focus on politics. And this is why you have old people generally in charge of politics. You have old people planning our futures. And that's the thing I think that we need to, basically need to get some cross-pollination between the generations. We need to also get the buffer class to wake up, acknowledge their privilege, and realize that we have the skill sets to carry this ball toward the finish line.
Definitely. All right. Let's go to Brother Dante, then Sister Tara, then we're gonna come back to Josh, and then Logic. You could take us into the last leg of the discussion, which is
I want to speak on direction too now. Let me just go on.
Oh yeah, okay. Get you some direction in there.
Yeah.
Dr. Darity said he said that you and I were twins anyway, Logic. He said it's only a matter of time before the two of y'all end up together. So here we are, the ancestors.
No doubt. I feel it. Yeah. So who?
All right. Go ahead, Sister Tara. And then Tara. Damn, we can't leave out Dante. We got to go around the circle. Tara, Dante, Josh, Logic. Go ahead, Sister Tara.
Well, in terms of direction, like I echo, all sentiments of, Don and Angela. But yeah, like what Angela was saying earlier about we need to support our candidates. When I ran for city council, a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, you're so young and things like that. I had this whole strategy to really reach out to the younger men in Los Angeles. And people were like, nah, that's a lost cause. Don't even bother. And it's like, it came to my mind that people organize they strategize their campaigns around us not showing up. We have to stop not showing up. We need to be active. We need to pay attention to what politics really brings to our communities. We have to engage. Politics is basically the fight for power and resources. When we complain that we don't have resources, we also aren't doing the politics to get those resources in our communities, and then we get stuck with these legislators who want to keep with these symbolic acts. You keep your Harriet Tubman $20 bill. See if that brings more resources to your community. Enough is enough. And that is why we are organizing the way we are, to make sure that even if folks don't have the time to, do donate, right? If you don't have the time to be active and involved, actually send some money to these organizations who are doing this work. There was someone in the feed earlier. How much is Black Lives Matter paying y'all? Okay, well, you know what? All this pocket watching, guess what? This takes money. These marches take money. To educate the public take money and time.
Flyers, gas.
Right. Flyers, information. So it's like you have to really ask where what your focus is. If you want to just make the whole conversation about grifting and who's paying us off to do this work, people should actually be proud of us for spending our own damn money to do this work in our community for our people. You should feel some type of sympathy and want to help contribute. You should feel some type of responsibility to your people to make sure we're out here getting educated, to make sure we're getting out the vote, to make sure that we're mobilizing people. That I'm just sick of it, right? Like, I don't have to spend my money. I'm a single mother who got a 6-year-old son. But I'm doing this.
I gotta jump in, Tara.
Huh?
You spitting fire because I don't see the same pushback when it comes to the YouTube sloppiness. Nobody questions all the 50s and 100s rolling up in the chair throwing.
Right.
But when it comes to doing this movement, when it comes to educating the masses, you got issue with power. You got issue with Vince Adolf. You got issue with funding your candidates like Tara. Okay? Y'all gotta come for me telling me, let's get back to work. I heard y'all yesterday. Y'all still up in my feed clowning. I'm gonna read y'all from Genesis to Revelation for those of you who were doing it. Y'all sitting up here telling me, okay, Angela, get back to work. Let me help you understand something. I never stopped working. You understand?
That's right.
And putting these fools in check is my work.
That,
I got my brand to defend. I got my name to defend. I got my comrades to defend. We're the ones pouring in our time, energy, and resources to make this shit go. We are the movement. So y'all sitting up here talking about who's paying who Who you paying? Who you paying? You paying to throw chairs, or you paying to liberate your people? I'm sorry, Tara.
No,
Get
no,
Get 'em.
we're really, undergirding, right? So, like, I'm one of those people though, because even before the fracture, I go on Yvette's show and I'll donate $100. I got my budget for my Black politics. You got a budget for your Black politics. I come to Be the Power and I donate my $100, and I go to Tone Show and I donate my $100. That's what we have to engage in.
That's the problem is see, and that's the problem. You thought you were putting your money someplace where they were doing politics, and therein lies the grift. So let's talk about what a real grift is. So real grift is when you take people's money and are saying that you're providing a service, or saying that you're providing a service that you're not providing. And when you're taking money and you're always talking about politics and doing politics, but really what it turns out to be that all you're doing is stopping politics from getting done. And you have to rethink what it is you're doing with your money every week. And I see every time Yvette's show comes on, I know she's pulling at least $2,000. And you know what? Our security for the march in February is $2,000. So we'll be safe while we're out there marching for reparations. But we're not going to talk about that.
Y'all smart.
We're not going to talk about what grifting is. Now, when you capture the hopes and aspirations of a group of people, and you tell them that you're fighting for reparations, and yet it turns out that you're not supporting the very data that supposedly undergirds your meeting. I mean, ADOS 101 is nothing without the intellectual property of Dr. William Darity and Kirsten A. Mullen undergirding that website. I stumbled across that website and I said, you know what? This is interesting. I feel some type of way, but I'm going to check this out. Who is this William Darity? Whose information is this? Let me go check that person out and see what this is all about. So it's the data first. It's the data that kept ADOS 101 from being another Pan-Africanist pipe dream, in my opinion. And so you have to go and you have to follow that kind of information. And I feel like, there's all these people that, are thinking that we're fighting for reparations. And now it turns out that we have evidence that, just activism has been stopped. There's been just blatant attempts to undermine direct action and movement in this movement. And I want to go on and go on.
I want to just do real quick to what Dawn said. You guys have got to understand that said person, I'm not going to say no names, tell you in one breath, here, you can hit me up in my super chat, but oh, by the way, we don't have money for that. Make it make sense. And her money's still flowing through her thing for her show, all the while telling us we don't have money for that, or we don't have time for that. We were in George Floyd 846. When do we get politically engaged? When do we march? When do we change legislation? When do we put our boots on the necks of the people in office? Okay, so to Don and Tara's point, the very same people that'll take your money to the tune of $150,000 a year, I said it.
Well,
okay?
you have to step back and ask if you have reparations, if you have had two reparations candidates in a row, and neither of them have received support from the ADOS co-founders and the world-renowned economic stratification economists whose intellectual property validates your entire movement, and you don't highlight that book or feature it on the book club, and you have a platform of 80,000, why wouldn't you teach the people to become well versed in that book. My contention is that, I think the moment the word reparationist was revived, I think it clicked in their heads that that was the jump the shark moment, that they had missed their moment to
Indeed. Look,
bring this
So,
movement
so
together.
Dawn, right, and Tara and Angela and Dante. So what we've seen is that is we all thought we was going one way, right? We thought we was going one direction, but we really wasn't going anywhere, right? We just was in a vehicle, and everybody was like, "Yeah, we about to go," right? And we thought we was headed one way. So what the people are looking for now, and this portion of the discussion is about direction. Where are we going? The movement is galvanized for reparations. How do we get there? Where is the direction? Which is it, north? Is it south? Is it east? Is it west? Where is the direction that we're supposed to head in to get to reparations? Brother Dante, talk to me now.
All right, so we talk about direction, right? A course along which someone or something moves, right? So I pose a question. All right, so where do we go from here? Chaos or community? All right, so we got some few options here, right? We can either politically educate people, all right, use our platforms to educate people in multiple ways, right? The other thing we could do is definitely organize, right? And then from there, we also have to leverage our relationships. So, for example, definitely have some form of relationship with Dawn, with her Reparations Collective, Tara, Angela, I'm reconnecting back with you, Naheem, Logic, everybody on BTP, right? Also, New Jersey Institute of Social Justice out here, as well as other organizations, right? You have to leverage your relationships, right, to get the things that your community needs, okay? All of you made some very good points here. Everything we do here is like basically we have sunk so much money into it and we have not seen a cent back. All right. We know certain people have YouTube platforms that are definitely seeing a lot of money, right, rolling in every Monday when she does her show, whoever it might be, every Friday or Saturday when they do a show, they definitely see some dough. But the point and purpose behind this work is not for our self-grandizement. It's to uplift our community. It's to make sure that future generations has something, right? That's the whole purpose behind the politics, right? Power and resources, right? So if other people aren't supporting us, then where that support's going to come from?
Can we talk about how obscene that is for them to suppress the message getting out, to first say, go out, build, create content, and then now have actually their minions say, if anyone else is talking about reparations and it's not Yvette or Tone, then I'm not listening. So it's like they have literally convinced some of these people that the only path to reparations is through them, which to me is a grift. And the point is that they absolutely have no plan in place, because I believe that they looked at the data and said, yes, we can make a case that reparation is owed. Do they believe we can get them? No, because they don't have a plan, because they don't understand math. They know how to, like Tone knows how to do relational math. He knows how to pull statistics and, build a narrative. But in terms of, can you forecast? Do you understand the different levers of the economy and have a sense of whether or not reparations is feasible, like doable? Do you even have the sense of self-worth and entitlement, or the debt that the debt is owed, that gives you the feel to ask for it, to demand it?
Dawn, you just made an excellent point, right? You said if reparations is feasible. We can't really talk about the feasibility of reparations unless we have the data. We talk about the cost of reparations, right? Being rooted in chattel slavery, free labor, all of that, the law, the reneging of the 40 acres and the mule, all of that. But what we're talking about really, and we got to have the discussion, is reparations is about the cost of the repair. You understand? So we know the cost of the damage, right? But the cost of the repair and how that repair is going to happen. So we are talking about funding of multiple programs and initiatives that are designed in such a way that is going to repair the damage that created the cost. You understand? In the first place. So we have to start articulating, right? And sometimes, like, I love the quadrillions. I can talk about quadrillions all day. I love it. But what we have to do is talk about what these quadrillions are going to be spent on. Let's talk about where this what we're going to do with the quadrillions, right? Because in Reconstruction, right after emancipation, we had some very beautiful programs. Our ancestors knew what they needed, right? But it was overthrown and taken away from them. So when we talk about direction, what direction was our ancestors going, right? Did you know that there was a Freedman Saving and Trust Company? Did you know that there was a Freedman's Bank? Did you know there was Freedman Public Schools? Did you know that there was Freedman Healthcare? Did you know that there was Freedman, listen to me now, there was Freedman Land Appropriation Committees and Freedman Homestead. All of these things the government agreed on in the Freedmen's Act. And they started designing a reparations program right after emancipation. Du Bois called it the 7 mystical years, right? In those 7 mystical years if you study those 7 mystical years, there's jewels in there, right? There's blessings in there. If you understand that your ancestors' wisdom is in them 7 years. We have to understand that we're fulfilling their legacy. So we have to understand, in order to get the things that we need to fight for the things that they didn't get first. Let's repair and get me what my ancestors were supposed to have. Then now we got to talk about the other stuff y'all did. But we have to talk about the appropriation of the cost. The repair is what I need. So I know what the damage cost me, right? Because I had to live through that. Now, we need to let the government know the cost, what programs we need to fund to address certain damages and certain injuries. If my leg was broke, I need a certain program to fix my leg. If my back was broke, I need a certain project and a certain type of surgeon to work on my back. So we have to design the reparations program and the reparations project in a certain way that is tailor-made to fit our needs. And however long it takes, you understand? I don't care about the number. To be honest with you, the number is insignificant. I want the repair. I don't care how much money you got to spend on it. Get me the repair. But in order to understand what this thing needs, we have to, just like Medicaid and Medicare is a part of the annual budget, and they give it $500 billion for military defense, $300 billion for Medicare, $200 billion for Medicaid every year. I need that rolling in every year for my programs, that and more. You understand? And we can't allow, this is a part of the education piece. We cannot allow people to say, well, the deficit's going to get in the way. That's going to drive deficit. And what about the debt? You have to understand the American federal fiscal operations. We are a monetarily sovereign nation. Then we have unlimited spending capacity. We don't spend or borrow other nations' currency. We create our own. America is a currency creator. There is nothing. It's not taxes that fund the federal treasury, U.S. Treasury Reserve. Taxes don't fund that. You understand? The U.S. Treasury creates the money and puts it into circulation before they tax you. See, because states have to create their budget based on taxation, and cities and businesses have to base their budget on these things because they're currency users and not currency creators. You understand? So they Democrats and Republicans use deficit talk. You got deficit hawks, and they use the debt and the budget, and they use that as scare tactics to get you to twist and turn politically to get you to vote for certain things and to not vote for certain things. But what we have to understand as reparationists, we ain't gonna play those games, because we know the unlimited capacity of the United States Treasury to fund anything. And all it is punching in buttons on a keyboard at the U.S. Treasury, and they can just add the numbers into your account. They don't got to print nothing. They just do. And that's what a Freedman's Bank is so important. You understand? That's why a Freedman's Trust And savings company is so important. They can fund every program, but if we don't have the education, we'll be like, well, damn, they right. That's going to rise the deficit. Damn, America's broke. And we'll find ourselves repeating these ignorant talking points that our enemies created for us to use. So that's why education is so important. And we will not know where we're going until we are educated on how to get there.
You know what? I want to add that I think that.
Oh, hold on, Dawn. Hold on real quick. Let's get an introduction from our brother Mark Stevenson.
Hey, Mark.
Real quick. Let me unmute you, brother. Introduce yourself. Let people know some of your background, some of the work you're doing. You know, we just having a conversation about movement, direction, and destination.
It's spicy till Mark got here.
Hey, everybody, and thank y'all for having me on. I'm Mark Stevenson. I'm here in Columbus, Ohio. I'm originally from Georgia. I kind of got this kind of the same background as Logic. You know, came up in those legacy groups. I was with the Georgia NAACP as a youth organizer back when I was a kid. You know, got my background started doing stuff on the college campus of Fort Valley State University. Just kind of came up through the ranks. I was I guess you could consider me a Democratic shield up until probably about 2012. You know what I'm saying? I actually worked for the Obama campaign back in 2008. I was a field organizer down in Savannah, Georgia. So that's where my background comes from. I'm a reparationist. I believe in reparations. I've been a reparationist for probably 20 years. So I'm not new to this. I guess I say I'm not new to this. I'm true to this, right? So I'm just here. You know, sorry I'm late. I was on another meeting. I had some folks trying to dox me online, so I had to take care of some stuff. I got a lawyer up, so I got to take care of some legal stuff. That's what I was doing.
Yeah, we see a lot of that sucker stuff that's going on, unfortunately. But they say if you poke a sleeping bear, you might get mauled. So I want Brother Grimm to come in.
Naheem, excuse me. What is the link to the show? People are texting me wanting to know how to get onto the show.
Okay, let me to get on.
Yeah, do they want to come on or they want you to?
No, to watch.
Okay, I'm gonna put it in the private chat.
Okay.
So you could copy.
Okay, are you able to text it to my phone? No.
Yeah, that's gonna require some pulling. This is good. I guys gotta pull it up. I'll figure it out.
No, that's okay.
I'll send it on after he sends it to the chat.
All right. Okay. Cool.
Thank you.
I'll put it in the private chat. So I want to bring my brother Grimm in. He hasn't said much tonight. We still in the direction phase, but if you want to get into the destination portion of this conversation, you can, because I think that where we're going is important, and understanding how we get there is what the conversation of direction is about in the first place. And I believe that we all have some excellent ideas on the direction, and the main direction that I see from everybody that is truly about reparation is about moving forward. I gotta mute somebody. Is about moving forward. So that seems to be the direction of every reparationist on this panel, that forward moving is, a part of our direction. So Brother Grimm, you there?
Yeah, peace. Brother man, I'm just honored to be amongst this panel of reparationists. I'm glad the collective is forming up. I'm not gonna say much about that. I'm gonna just say this, man. The direction is moving forward, man. And the destination, man, is basically, not just closing the wealth gap, not just full racial equalities, but basically, man, to fulfill the dreams of our ancestors, and basically the things that they had to suffer, and the dreams that they had to go through, basically dreams deferred and dreams unfulfilled. And the bottom line is this. I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna let it go. Right? If you basically sitting around and you following someone that's always just popping junk, popping trash, and you following them for sensationalism and things of that nature, that's not going to get us there. Slandering people, that's not going to get us there. Only the truth is going to get us there. Facts go get us there. You follow what I'm saying? Loving each other go get us there. You can't claim to love me and then kick me in my backside. So the bottom line is that the direction is forward, gain momentum, and the basically the destination, man, is the redemption of our people. And that's all I got to say on that.
Can I chime in behind that? Okay. Well, I share your sentiments, brother. I share your sentiments. And I think in this moment, this is probably the most consequential part of reparations, right? We go all the way back to Cali House and we come forward, we can see the ills and the fights. We've had reparations movements try to do it the legal way by trying to file lawsuits against the government. That didn't work. But we have never tried it legislatively, not at the national, not at the level that we are at right now. And I think this is the prime time, because the Democrats don't really have an excuse anymore. I mean, in my own admission, I thought that Barack Obama was gonna do something, right? Because I work for the man, so I was like, yeah, yes we can. I was out there, stomping, and then around 2010, I started seeing other black politicos, like the sister Dorothy Tillman from Chicago, talk about him and not being anchored in being a descendant of chattel slavery. So his view on reparations didn't come off like our view on reparations is, because he didn't come from that, right? So I didn't understand that concept back then. You know what I'm saying? I was the, hey, we all black together. That's kind of how I looked at it. But when I started to dive deep, and we really start talking about what reparations is, right? We can look at it in two different forms. We can look at it as repair and then atonement. And everybody here that has read Dr. Darity's book, we all have read From Here to Equality. If to the people who are watching this, if you haven't picked up Dr. Darity's book, if you don't do nothing else, chapter 1 is going to lay it out for you flat out. All the wrongs that have happened in the reparations movement and how and those processes, what happened. You take it all the way back and come forward, what happened. And the thing is that the courts never made it. They never, you had states that apologized, but there was never no restitution for what happened. All they did was apologize. Well, we apologize. People in Tulsa, they got an apology. Well, they firebombed 1,000 homes. They took land. We got homesteading. We got all these things. We have it. Our issue is that for some reason, black folks can't get out of the way of black folks, right? Mm-hmm. And that has been, and we look at generations. We look at the generations. We look at the silent generation. We look at the baby boomers, the civil rights generation, right? They were so enamored by equality that they forgot the key word equity. And they forgot the key word equity. Like, being equal doesn't mean nothing. That just means that you look at me and we the same. But if I don't have equity like you do, then it doesn't matter if we equal or not, because we're not on level playing field. So if you are already if you already got a head start on me, and then now you say we equal, well, I don't care. We both can run the same race. We both can be 10 seconds in a 100-meter dash. But if I give you a 40-yard head start, it doesn't matter. I could be Usain Bolt. I'm still not going to catch you. You know what I'm saying? And that's the part that most people don't understand. we have to, when we get to talking about reparations in our community, we gotta instead of just talking about it, we gotta show people why this is the way, why this is the way, why this is the way, and why they can't sit back and just let people just shoehorn them into thinking that we can get all lives matter policy. I seen the executive orders that Biden has signed. Nothing to for reparative justice. He can sign a commission right now to study reparations if he really wanted. So, you know, my mom always told me that you take somebody for their word, but their actions are going to prove who their true intent is and their character. So I can say anything all day, but my actions are what's going to dictate my personality. So we got to hold these people accountable to doing the job, and we have to have full-throated reparation support. That means that we just can't focus our attention on Democrats, because in some states like mine, I'm in a red state. I'm in Ohio. That means I got to contact all these congressmen up here. I got to contact, everybody. Everybody has to get the business. We cannot leave not one. It's 535 people in Congress between the House and the Senate. We have to bash all of them. We have to push this envelope, and then we got to start looking for damn leaders. We don't need a leader. We don't need an MLK. And I think that's what the civil rights generation, after he died, they were looking for somebody else to ascend to that level, to be this national orator for all Black folks. We don't need that. Reparations is the leader. The Black is the leader. The movement is the leader.
But
we don't
Mark,
need
we have a problem
because we're all leaders and are all right.
The mission
But I
is to be the leader.
problem that it's like you need to run. I think what I'm seeing when I go out there when I go, and I'm coming from another life and looking at the community organizing and looking who runs for office, and it seems like the disconnect is the people that need to be running for the office, that are the people that are depicted on this screen here. And then we have to deal with the fact that Black folks don't never love their own people. And that's why we have everybody, everybody is better than us for us. And that's why we get Black faces in high places that don't do anything for us. So I find that what Tara is always talking about, it kind of like makes me feel some kind of way, because, it's like Black people are like women in general, don't like to talk about money. It's like if we're talking about tithing, then we can talk about money all day long. Or we talk about raising money for a funeral, or we can talk about it all day long. But if we talk about, I don't know what it is about how we've been groomed to not want to give to who is in need specifically. We always want to find a way not to give people what it is they need. We don't want to give Black people checks. We don't want to give the people in our community who are really trying to do something to help the community. We're not trying to help them out because we don't want the people who want to help us to look like they need help too. We want them to look better than us, act better than us, look down on us, and then wonder why we don't get any damn help. And I think Yvette and Tone are a good example of this. They think I figured out, they think their fans are stupid. And it turns out most of them are, that they don't read, and you can't. And once you get beyond regurgitating talking points, they can't string together, critical thought to come up with, to maintain a conversation, and they resort to emotion. And, I think we're going to see more and more of that. But I guess where I was going with that, I want us to also address, in terms of education, is saying that money and politics, that you sometimes, even when when people even think of the word PAC, they probably think of some big organization or whatever. A PAC can be a PAC. A PAC is $100. I mean, we're talking about, grassroots organizations where people are raising money to do basic things, food for meetings, flyers, gas, whatever. And I think we have to do some education on the cost of organizing, the cost of politics, not just blindly donating, but what it actually costs to do politics. And at the same token, I don't think it costs a lot of money for us to do politics if we focus on a grassroots voter registration type of model. Then we're basically building people power. But that's just basically my, I guess, thoughts on how we should be moving forward and organizing in a sense.
Definitely.
And to touch on
wait, hold on 1 second, Tara. I'm gonna let you come in. I just want to let everybody know, if you have not subscribed to our new BTP Media Group channel, please hit the subscribe button. Make sure you click the like button as well. We are having a powerful discussion of Reparationist Roundtable. We are talking about something serious because we need movement. There's no need for us to just have book clubs, right, all the time and not educate ourselves, and we're not going anywhere. At the end of the day, we just becoming smart dummies who wound up being Twitter trolls. That makes absolutely no sense to me. So hit the like button, family. Share it out if you haven't shared it already. And make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the little bell icon next to it. We are resolving some issues on our other channel, but we will keep this channel active. This will be another content channel from BTP. As I've said in the past, we want to grow our own TYT so that we can groom our own reparationist candidates in the same way that they would groom and bring on their progressive candidates. This is what we want to create this BTP media hub for. So go ahead, Sister Tara. And then we're going to come to Brother Josh, and then we're going to go to Sister Angela. We're going to try to swing it around some kind of way. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to touch on what Don was saying in terms of like funding our own stuff, right? Like we got to figure out what we believe or where we are. You know, I think Mark was saying earlier about, you know, the Black family needs to lead, but we got some cuckoos in here, right? We got folks who's jumping in the chat. I wouldn't want to follow that person. It needs to be about the mission. The mission needs to lead, and we need to go in the direction of that mission. What Don was talking about in terms of funding, like we can't withhold our money and then say, well, George Soros is funding these people. Well, guess what? There's a George Soros, and that movement's available for him to take it over in your conspiracy theories, right? Because we're not funding our own stuff. So if we start funding our own things and our own institutions and pushing our own politics, people may still do that and co-opt our movements that are meant for Black folks and Black political capital. But then we'll have our central place where we go for politics for us, and that we know that is trusted. We have to build those institutions. We can't just sit around and complain about other people doing it. I got Jewish friends who put $10,000 aside every year to give to the Jewish Federation. Why? Because they're that invested in their community. We need to have that same level of race esteem and that same care about our people to not only do the work, put our money where our mouth is. I have a 6-year-old son. I refuse to leave this place to him the way I found it. And I think anyone who, not only just a parent, anybody who has family, right? I have a brother who's been in jail for bank robbery and all. I have all kinds of spectrums of Black folks in my family. If we are tired of this way of existing, we have to do something different. And the NAACP ain't it. And if the organization has a 501c3 after it, not that they don't do good work, they're limited in their political abilities. And some people don't know that, and some people forget that.
Indeed, brother. I'm gonna come to Brother Logic real quick, and then Sister Angela Nirvana.
Yo, so I just want to say something. I'm so pleased to be having this discussion, and this is what we have to have, these public discussions, right? So I want to make a couple statements on a couple different points, right? So we Brother Mark mentioned equality, right? Let me just talk to you about Dr. Logic's idea of equality, because I know equality has not been assessed and attained by us, and we have misconceptions about equality, right? So when equality and fairness are brother and sister, right? But people misunderstand it. Some people think equality is and fairness is everybody gets the same thing. That's not equality and that's not fairness. Fairness is when everybody gets what they need. Brother Logic needs glasses. Everybody else may not need glasses. It wouldn't be equality or fairness if I made everybody wear glasses so we could all be equal. That's not equality. Equality is, in the spirit of equality, is there's fairness. And that means everybody gets what they need, right? And everybody has equal access and equal abilities and equal representation. You understand? So when I say equality, I'm talking about equality in protection in the law, right? Equal protection under the law. So when we talk about access and equality, that is not something to be trifled with and say, you know what, I don't need to be equal. Yeah, I need to have citizenship should have equality in it. Every citizen should be equal to any other citizen. There shouldn't be a second-class citizen. There shouldn't be a bottom caste. Every citizen should have equality in accessing law and accessing democracy and accessing justice. It should be equality on that basis when you're forming a government, right? That should be a thing. So moving on, now the next thing, when we talk about a movement, there hasn't been a movement in the history of mankind that didn't have a leader to it. You understand? There is no such thing as a movement without a leader, or that's chaos. And I'm not trying to be confrontational or anything, but I have to talk plain. You will not show me no revolution. You ain't gonna show me no movement in the history of humankind that ain't had no leader in it. Not a successful one. Not any degree of success came without somebody leading it, somebody making the sacrifice and say, I'm going to go, y'all come with me. Somebody led you to the club the last weekend and said, hey, let's go out. And you said, I'm going. You came from leadership when your mother was leading you, taking you to school, when your father was leading you, showing you how to do this, that, and the third. There ain't no unity in organization without leadership. That's structure. You can't have an organization without a CEO, without a director, without a chairman. That's organization. That's how you do it right. You understand? If you just want to have a whole bunch of people together, that's just a crowd. That's not an organization. You have to have leadership. You understand? Because if we are trying to do things right, we're not just trying to do shit, right? So we must understand that. And when we talk about the money, right? That's something that I'm real passionate about, because people want to act like they don't got money. But I got homies I know just spent $6,000 in the strip club. I got friends I know. You can't sacrifice one bag of loud. You can't sacrifice that fifth of Hennessy. You mean to tell me you niggas get drunk and you smoke all the goddamn time? How you ain't got no money to give to the cause? I don't want to hear that shit. So if we are trying to do something serious, you got money for silly shit, but you ain't got no money for the real shit. I don't want to hear none of that. You understand? You go shopping and pop tags and you want to be rappers and you buy chains and all that goofy shit. But when it comes time for some real shit, you ain't got no money. I'm not trying to hear none of that. We have to get out of these games that we playing. You understand? We have to start putting pressure on people and being real. I'm not going to talk to nobody all day and just do YouTube videos. If I'm serious about an initiative and a mission, I'm going to the people I know. Listen, brother, we need that, period. You understand? There ain't no talking and no playing about it. We need that, period. You know people that got money. This whole myth that we don't have the wealth because we've been locked out of ownership, but you know people with money. Every one of us on this program tonight knows somebody with some bread. Stop playing the games. You understand? So I just wanted to come in here and shoot it straight for one time, because I'm tired of those bogus myths that go around. Equality is not everyone gets. Equality is not sameness. Equality is fairness, means everybody gets what they need. And there ain't no successful movement without no leadership. That don't mean you just need anybody. Anybody can't lead. You need real leadership, qualified leadership, people who care about the people. And people got money. You got money to spend on silly shit, you can spend it on real shit. And that's all I got to say about that.
I want to interject there, because a lot of people are saying, want to organize now, but you know what? There's kind of no place to go. And, but I do want to say that people need to organize into groups, hopefully with the new assembly or with Black Pack or somehow in some sort of organized fashion, because, you know, we're at a critical juncture here. We are in the precipice of potentially HR 40 being passed as is. And if it does, we're just going to have to come up with a different kind of strategy. We're going to have to pivot and do a whole different kind of work, from edit or shred it. But we don't have time for people to really go out and test a whole lot of different new ideas at this point. We kind of had like the last 2 years where we could have, you know, built this huge machine once we, you know, we came intact to the conference, a lot of us, to the inaugural ADOS conference. There was a lot of promise there. When we left there, you know, things just didn't work, or didn't quite develop the way we had hoped that they would. But we had, you know, the time was well spent. And the structure that Chris Lodgson and the assembly put together at least kept a loose network, and they provided toolkits, weekly meetings, whether you participated or not. He provided the structure and the leadership for that. And Chris Lodgson's temperament was perfect for what we were going through at the time. And I'm not even sure what his affiliation is with the assembly at this point, but I do know that the secretary of the assembly. The structure that they have in place is, I think, one that is definitely going to be the place where people who still want to identify with the lineage aspect of it, you know, and there's a place for that. There's a place for organizing in that type of more of a, I guess, a club and NAACP type, and more of a traditional club and, you know, orderly kind of Robert's Rules of Order type of thing. And then you have blackpack.org, which is where we're looking more for policy watchdogs and developing some exciting stuff. Tara is, and I'm sort of working with her on that.
We are together.
Pardon?
I said we are together.
Yeah. And then with the Reparationist Collective, a home for people who have their own agency, or, you know, basically have their grassroots organization, but basically we're all working toward reparations. But there's a place where if you're already fully formed and you have an organization and you buy into this executive order strategy that the Reparationist Collective is committed to pushing for the next 2 years, whereby we are going to withhold our vote from the Democrats in hopes that they lose the House if we don't get any meaningful policies that are listed on that list of 6 demands that we've listed. That is just an executive summary of demands. Each of those bullet points is probably 5 pages of policy. The first one, the Presidential Commission on Reparations, is, of course, the primary focus of the Reparationist Collective. And I'd also like to again point out that Dr. William Darity is our advisor, and he also, you know, edited that one. We were going for edit or shred it, HR 40, and then we have number 2 is an economic empowerment executive order. And it was Dr. Darity who threw out, he said, well, you know, we actually could do a presidential commission for reparations. Both of them result in the same thing, proposals for legislation for reparations. And I have to make sure Dr. Darity isn't texting me while I'm talking, because he is watching the show. Hi, Dr. Darity. The Reparationist Collective is with you and the data.
That was a great book.
Dr. Darity, I appreciate him signing my book.
I want to jump in.
Really quick, Angela, what I have to say is really quick. And stop counter-organizing, y'all. If you aren't with a certain org or what have you, or a certain group of people, rock with your folks and just stay out of everyone else's way. Unless you're an organization who is counter-organizing against reparations, then I'm a counter-organize against you. However, if we're all doing reparations work and you choose where you want to go, Don't come in trying to mess up everybody else's flow. Just let us rock, and y'all go rock the way y'all want to.
Yeah, let me say, I want you to come in, Angela, and then Josh, because Josh hasn't really said much tonight. We are, and I want to camel back off of what my brother Logic said. We are all leaders in our spaces, right? I believe that all of us on this panel tonight are leaders, and you can't fulfill the three prongs of what tonight's platform is dedicated to. You can't fulfill movement, direction, and destination without leadership. Somebody has to drive the car. It may be a lot of passengers, but somebody has to drive that car. And that's leadership in and of itself as well. So we definitely need that. Sister Angela, come on, go in, and then my brother Josh.
Absolutely. I'm just on board with what everyone has said. Many of you may know when I established the Friends of ADOS Super PAC, it was to bring the infrastructure to the ADOS movement and to raise money for our candidates at every level of government. I do want to stress that none of what we're doing here gets done until we have full-chested reparationists in office. Now, it seems to me now that we kind of see people for who they are, and we see intentions as to what they are. We see who has integrity, who lacks integrity, who's really for the movement, who's really for the grift. It is time for us, as everyone else has said, to now put aside a budget to do politics. You can't sit and be upset with the conditions of American descendants of chattel slavery in the country our ancestors built with their lives and not make your politics a priority. If there was nothing else I was taught by Yvette Carnell, it was that there is a specific lane for how we are specifically treated within a political framework. And a lot of how we got here is because we're not politically engaged. Now, many of you that are watching are, but it's on you to teach others. We teach in these social media spaces to reach the masses so that they can gain an understanding that if they're not at the table, they are on the menu. And so, yes.
Yo, say that again. Say that again, please. Please say that again. Please say that. Don't let that one slide now. That's too. You got to say that again, please.
Absolutely. If you're not at the table, you are on the menu. And as you see everybody else grabbing the bag, it's because this lamestream media convinced you that replacing a racist in office with no record against ADOS was more threatening than replacing that racist with the 65-year run in office and clear record against your own people. You bought into this hype that Trump was more of a danger because he's a mean, overt racist, and 85% of our electorate decided that the author of the 94 crime bill, Jim Crow Sloppy Joe, and Callie's top cop by her own admission, Kamala the Chameleon, was better suited with the 65-year record combined against the American descendant of chattel slavery. That's what you guys decided was a grand idea. 85% of you, I know not anybody watching, okay? And y'all thought 85% of this was 85% of us thought this was a good idea. These are the people who lack political education because we have been rolled, our backs have been rolled because we put Obama in office based on identity politics. Not once, but twice. Everybody can now agree we got nothing from that. And yet you wash, rinse, repeat, and allow the lamestream media to convince you that Trump's tweet and calling Africa a shithole country was worse than a diabolical record of imprisoning 1 million Black men in the new slavery called the private prison industrial complex, many of whom are there for nonviolent offenses. 90% of the people Kamala put in jail as prosecutor were there for nonviolent offenses. And when the governor of this state told her to let the nonviolent offenses free because the jails were overcrowded, she in turn, as AG, told him, no, I need that black labor. She didn't say black, but we know who's in there. Okay. And don't come for me talking about it's immigrants. If out here in California, the color of LA tells you, the color of wealth LA tells you between 2004 and 2014, these numbers are far more dire now. That ADOS is $200 liquid and African immigrants are 60,000 liquid. Where do you think the race soldiers are? In the neighborhoods where you're 60,000 liquid, or in the neighborhoods where you're 200 liquid? Okay, so yes, she told him, I can't free them because I need them to put out white fires in white hills of white homes for $1 a day. So this is what happens when you allow yourself to get sucked in and mesmerized by a mainstream media who wants to convince you that the only thing you need to use, your only commodity, which is your vote, is to unseat the racist overt boogeyman with the racist covert boogeyman and woman. You fell for the identity and the respectability politics, and you have integrated your people into a burning building. And so I'm here to tell you that this is when I realized, when my super PAC was dragged, this was not a super PAC that no one knew about. I was at the inaugural conference. Tone was at the SIP that Tamara Johnson Shealy hosted for us. We started vetting people from that point forward. And then all of a sudden, Tone starts dragging the PAC on his Super Bowl show about Beyonce's Popeye's chicken suits. And he had been invited to several meetings by a mutual attorney friend who's known him 10 years. And this is the way he chose to move. Now, I'm not trying to, revisit the past, but I need for the new people watching who just got here that don't know me and don't know my contribution to this movement, what I stand for and what I'm here for and what my primary focus is. And so with that said, it escalated to the point where nobody picked up a phone. They just did shows to decimate my efforts. And so I literally had to change the name to Equity Advocates PAC. And I'm telling you right now, we got 2 years before the Republicans take this back, which means we've got 2 years to replace the lanes that want to be on class-based policies which don't fix race. Take this into consideration. When you erase student loan debt and only 16% of your people are degreed, who is this really for? This is a white wealth transfer. This is an immigrant wealth transfer. They're the ones that have the higher degrees and advanced education because we have been locked out of access to affirmative action. And this is what happens when you don't engage politically. This is what happens when you don't pay for your politics. This is what happens when you don't support the new black media. When we don't aggregate dollars. I'm not talking everybody got to do it single-handedly. I'm saying if we raised $1 a piece, we'd be at 35 to 40 million if we all did that. And so I'm urging you, because I do intend to run Tamara Johnson Shealy again for that Congress. I'm hopeful that some of the people right within cheer are going to be interested in running for Congress. And I need all hands on deck on a PAC that got destroyed because someone convinced our people that it was better to donate to YouTube personalities than it was to raise money for your own children's interests. I'm not just fighting for my daughter. I'm fighting for your daughter. And the only way we get this reparations is to replace the lanes. Visit me at www.equityadvpac.com and donate and put that on recurring, like I've done for Yvette, like I did for Tone, like I've done for our candidates, Tamara Johnson-Shealy. And when it's time to get involved, email me at friendsofadostv@gmail. If you really about that work, if you really about holding on the line on the Senate hearing floors to get our votes through, because let me help you with something. These Asians out here were certainly on the line to shut down Prop 16. And guess what else they did? Prop 16 was there to overturn 209. Ward Connerly and ADOS came up with 209.
Angela,
affirmative action.
Angela, everybody ain't from California. You got to talk about what these propositions are now. We don't know.
I can't.
Why don't we
talk about?
Now, give me a minute. Breathe. Let me finish my talk.
About HR 40
let me finish my talk, please. I gave y'all a turn. I didn't cut y'all off. Let me finish. Darn. Anyway, I was explaining that Prop 16 was for affirmative action to be restored to the American descendants of chattel slavery down here. And I'm telling you, it was ADOS that undermined us. Ward Connerly back in 96 came up with Prop 209, talking about how our own affirmative action to get us into these colleges was undermining the immigrants and the white folks. Basically, that's what it is in a nutshell. You can look it up. But that's basically what our own people do to us when they have office. Why? Because white dollars are paying them off to undermine what we're doing. So he is the face of Prop 209. So this election cycle comes Prop 16. Prop 16 was to restore us. Why? Because 30%, at least 33%, it's practically evenly divided at the UC Berkeley. This was in 2019. UC Berkeley had a third white, a third Asian, and a third Hispanic, 5% Black. We have been reduced down here from 16% to 5% down here in California. And guess what those Asian folks did when it came time for Prop 16 on the Senate hearing floor? They not only came on to say no to it during their segment, they came on to say no to it during our yes segment. And so if you're ready to really put in this work, because ultimately Prop 16 failed, because these white folks and these immigrants out here showed up in droves to defeat it. And the money that was raised to give it a real campaign and to give it a real shot, they lined their pockets with it. So I'm here to tell you, if you are really about your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren and the survival of American descendants of chattel slavery in the country our ancestors built with their lives, you best to be about putting money aside for your politics, or we are finished. You are looking at a country that we are already behind Hispanics alone. Even further behind when you add all the other immigrants. You're looking at an administration that you voted for with 85% of the electorate that is bringing in they're giving 11 million illegals in this country citizenship before making you American. Not only that, they've got designs to bring in Kamala's people who, oh, by the way, are $425,000 liquid to ADOS 200 here in California. They making more money than white folks. White folks only about 150,000 liquid. That's why they stormed the Capitol. But they've got designs to want to stop building on that wall to let 9,000 Guatemalans who are racing towards the border. If it wasn't for Trump, we'd be finished. Okay? You guys have to understand politics to understand that immigration is being weaponized against you. There is no way in the world we should be in the fight for the bottom with immigrants. And they're still doing better than us, especially out here, because you've got to know Spanish before you can get a job interview. And when you show up and you don't have the white complexion, the white Hispanic complexion for the protection, they identify as white. They play both sides, right? You see AOC playing both sides. One is Black when it comes to the reparations question, but she know about reparations when it comes to COVID relief for her people. She's calling that reparations. So they play both sides. They play for the set asides and they play for whiteness to get access and to gain advantage over you. So this is what's happening. And when you don't know politics, you think it's okay to unseat Trump with your vote versus saving your own people by weaponizing your vote and socializing your suffering. So if you're serious on both the fronts, www.equityadvpac.com and email me at friendsofadostv@gmail.com. I'm building a roster, a force to be reckoned with, because this shit ain't glamorous. And you can get on YouTube and roll out of bed and turn on your super chat to collect $150,000 a year. But I'm here to tell you what these people here are really doing is the work. It's grimy. It's long. I've been on the phone 3 hours sometimes just to put in a vote and had to do it offline because the Asians came in there and obfuscated the whole entire thing. You understand what I'm telling you? You got to be willing to put in work because our children and our lineage are relying on you to stop being about the dum-dum and get politically engaged with your dollars and your acumen. All your gifts and talents, all hands on deck. Thank you.
Woo.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
If you don't run, Angela, we're going to have a problem.
That's right. See, you a leader. See what I'm saying? You a leader. We need them people who can inspire. Someone hear that, they might have thought the same thing, but couldn't voice it and articulate it like that. And then the spirit that's behind it, that inspires people to say, you know what, I'm with that person. You a leader. You a natural with it. And all you got to do is be who you are. You understand? And everything else going to fall in place.
That's right. That's right. And that kind of goes right where I was going, Brother Logic. I wanted to say about, leadership, because, I believe that everything rises and falls on that. And you see an organization that's doing well, I promise you the leader is a strong leader. If you see an organization that's failing, I promise you the leader has some serious issues and they have not taken the time to develop leadership. They might have character issues, but it's a leadership problem. And I challenge somebody to show me a situation where that's not the case. And when you think about leadership, you want to see. Now, I think I talked about this on a prior program, but there's something called the law of the lid. In other words, the leader, the organization can only go as high as the level of leadership of the leader. And what I wanted to say about how that applies to this movement for reparations is everybody has to grow themselves as a leader, and it's not about bigging yourself up and getting a big head. It's not about being able to spit, information. It's not about being able to trying to get in a position where people follow you and you creating a following of mindless, lemmings that's willing to follow you off a cliff. It's not about trying to see how many people you can get to drink Kool-Aid. It's not about none of that. What it is about is you building yourself up so that you can instill in other people what it's going to take for the group to be strong enough to reach the destination. Like we have some of our family that's in the military. You can't just think that, you can I'm gonna turn my camera off for a second. You can't just think that you can bring people straight into the military, straight off the street, and now they ready to go fight in combat, or they ready to go, do whatever mission that their commander says that they need to accomplish. No, there is a chain of command, but not only that, there is a process to grow and develop those people to be leaders, to be equipped with the knowledge, with the skills, to teach them the discipline. And I'm not in the military, so I'm sure other brothers or sisters out here can probably speak to that better than I can. But I just wanted to give the example. Leaders are not developed in a day, but they are developed daily. They're developed daily. So, everybody that's out here listening to this program, we got to look at this thing as, yes, if you're just hearing about the movement for reparations right now, you're trying to figure out what can you do.
what you can do is start understanding the situation that you're in, that the collective is in, that your community is in. Start, all statistics. Yes. Start learning about the people in your community. Yes.
Josh, brother Josh, you breaking up, bro. Bad.
Oh man, I know what's up with that.
Yeah, you still sound bad.
Can I try?
Yeah, we can't hear you, bro.
Can I chime in? Just he's kind of.
Yeah, go ahead, brother Mark.
Right.
And then we'll go to Dante, and then we're gonna kind of start wrapping this thing up. If we're gonna go to our sister Dawn.
Josh was talking about military. He was talking about military leadership, right? And full disclosure, I spent 20 years serving this damn country, right? And I took people all over the world doing missions and shit. One thing that one of my former commanders told me, he asked me, what do you want your legacy to be when you finally retire? I said, I just want to be known as a great leader. He said, did you know that leader was an acronym? And I said, no. He said, I'm gonna tell you that leader is an acronym. So the L stands for listen. You cannot be a good leader if you don't listen to the people that are up under you. Some of the best knowledge that I've gotten from people were from the people that were up under me, that I was leading them. They were training me. They were training me to lead them. Right? So that's number one. The E, empower. If you're not empowering the people that are around you and empowering them to go out and do the work, then what are you doing? We can talk on these YouTube shows all night till we blue in the fucking face, right? But if we're not putting that to action, then it really doesn't mean anything. It's just a bunch of empty promises, right? Just like these politicians do. So we have to empower people to understand that they can go do something. So when you go get training on how to organize in your area, how to raise money for a super PAC, how to run for office, that's part of that. That's part of empowering your people so they can go do the work too. The A, accountability. If you ain't accountable, if you can't hold yourself accountable and you don't want other people to hold you accountable, then you can't be a damn leader. Because accountability goes two different ways. Like I can hold myself accountable, but if Brother Naheem comes up and say, hey brother, you out of line, I gotta be able to be checked and say, okay, you know what I'm saying? My brother got my six. That's what we call it in the military, covering the six.
Yeah. And I got bad kids, so I know I can't lead. So I write policy and I coordinate shit.
So the D, right? Develop. If you are not training the person up under you to do your fucking job, then you're not a leader. Because eventually all of us are going to leave this earth. And that's where I think the civil rights generation got it wrong. Because when Gen Xers were coming up, we were getting told to go to school and get good grades and go get degrees so we can go get good jobs. And we found out that was a bunch of bullshit, right? We got sold a bill of goods. Instead of them telling us and developing us to be leaders in our communities and build community, they were telling us to go do white shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So the next E stands for empathize. I got to be able to show empathy. I got to be able to look at your situation and understand where you coming from. Because all of us come from different walks of life. We all cut from different cloths. So what may motivate me may not motivate Don or Tara. You know what I'm saying? It may not motivate Angela. You know what I'm saying? But it motivates me. So you got to know your fucking people. And if you don't know your people, and you don't know their circumstances, how the hell you gonna lead them? Because some of us, you know, we got that alpha mentality. I look at everybody on this stage. We all leaders, right? We all alpha. So there's a certain way you got to come at us. You can't come at me sideways and think that you're just gonna get away with it, because I'm gonna clap back real quick because I'm already on a 10. I'm on 10 every day. I wake up on go. So I'm already fired up. So if you come at me sideways, you may get clapped back real quick. You know what I'm saying? And then the R.
Mm-hmm.
The R, right? The R stands for respect. That's the biggest one to me. Respect. And respect is mutual. I gotta have respect for you, you gotta have respect for me. And if we ain't got no respect for each other, we ain't getting shit done. I don't care because there ain't no trust there. If I don't respect you, then I don't trust you. And if I don't trust you, we can't do no business together because everything else is gonna be shattered. So what we have seen over the last 2 years, we saw people listening, getting the message about reparations, right? We saw the grassroots organizing going on. People were empowering themselves, feeling good, a sense of belonging. We got our fucking tribe and we're going to go out here and get this reparation. There was no goddamn accountability. There was zero accountability. Accountability was at the bottom. It was at the bottom. It was no accountability at the top. And when that accountability started to happen, all chaos broke out because motherfuckers because they had been running a loose ship and it was running in the Navy. We call that shit running aground. You took this ship and you done ran it aground. We can't move no more. And then there was no development. Everybody was going to get a political education, but damn it, you weren't getting empowered to do shit on the ground. There was no action getting done. There was nothing. There was no tangible call to action after you got done.
All action was.
There was no action. There was no action.
There was no action.
What were we supposed to do? So guess what? The people on the ground created the goddamn action because we saw a need for that action, right? And then there was the empathy, right? We all empathize with each other. We know the conditions of our people. We know the conditions of our people. And we can go out and say, man, I understand that you broke. You know what I'm saying? But this is the reason why. Because we understood the ills of Jim Crow. And we're still dealing with that shit right now down in the South. They still got Jim Crow laws on the damn book. And we're dealing with that still right to this day. And then there's no damn respect. Nobody respecting nobody for shit. We all bring our gifts. We all are uniquely. This shit is powerful. We got enough people throughout that are in this reparations movement. We got people that they engage in cyber, that know fucking IT. You got economists. You got finance people. You got people that are in banking. You got people that know how to run businesses. You got people that have been organizers. You got people that have been politicians, that know how to run candidates, that know how to do these things. And none of these people were empowered to do a goddamn thing besides send money to a fucking super chat. And so for me, being a leader and coming with my military mind, I'm always forward thinking. What is the next step? Well, the next step for the people that are watching this video tonight is to get your ass off the sidelines and get involved. Because too often, what we have seen is we got an 80-20 rule. 20% of the motherfuckers is doing the work, and 80% of the other motherfuckers is on the sideline. Y'all want to sit up here and complain, talk shit, come on Twitter, tweet. That ain't fucking activism, goddamn it. I come from doing this shit on the ground. I'm going to where the people at. I told Dawn when I first met her, I said the reason why I'm so effective at what I do on the ground is because I meet people where they at. I don't give a fuck if you got a PhD or you got a GED. God damn it, I can talk to every single person on the planet because I know the space that I'm in. I'm not gonna come to somebody who's not politically educated and try to make myself put myself above them and try to shit on them. I'm not gonna talk shit about people who got a 540 fucking credit score because I used to be that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So now I can tell people, yeah, man, that shit's fucked up. Listen, this is what you can do to help yourself get yourself back on track while we're fighting for this damn reparations. And I believe, and Brother Logic, I love what you said about the goddamn money. Because like you said, we got money to do every fucking thing in this world. We got the ability to reach celebrities, bring their asses. Hell, if we ain't got no fucking money, guess who got it? Ice Cube got the goddamn money. P. Diddy got the fucking money. So how about we go get the shit from them and put it back into our community and empower people to go out here and fight? Because what's going on? While we sitting on the sidelines, while we tweeting and going back and forth, 17 executive orders have been goddamn signed. Now, I'm a member of the NAACP, like I said earlier. And I sat like my ass on that damn national NAACP call last night with everybody else from all over the fucking country, right? And all I heard was bullshit. And so it took me to tweet out to Derek Johnson today and say, why are we, if you're going to continue to do these town halls, we got to stop doing politically correctness in politics. You need to tell these black folks that they shit fucked up and we need help. And while you got Congressman Beatty and Director damn Fudge on the line, you need to be holding their ass accountable. Tell them this is the policies that we need. So we need everybody. If you don't want to go out and be a grassroots organizer and do the shit that some of us on here do, but damn it, you can pick up your phone and call your congressperson. You can email, you can send a letter, you can do something more than what you're doing, because if you continue to do the same thing, expecting a different result, you are engaging in insanity. And goddamn it, the black community is insane right now, because we still believe in hope and prayer and wishing. We hoping that the white man gonna take care of us because we voted them in. But damn it, that shit ain't work. It ain't never worked. The only thing they do is use us for our votes. So the only thing that we can do right now is empower ourselves to withhold this vote, hold the line. Fuck all the talking points, all the PhDs that y'all see on Twitter with the blue checks talking shit about folks trying to call you a Trump supporter. Fuck all that. Because guess what? Right now, all of them looking like they fucking silent. You got Black Lives Matter coming out. I think the Democratic Party sold us a bill of goods. God damn it, we knew this already. We've seen this. Wash, rinse, repeat. It's the same shit. If nothing gets done in these 2 years, guess who's getting blamed for it? The motherfuckers that's in the minority. They were in the majority running shit. Now they're in the minority running shit. So what the hell? What do we have to lose? We got to get candidates in office that are about this work. We need reparation candidates. And we had one on the national stage, and we dropped the fucking ball. As a community, we dropped the ball. There was no reason why we couldn't get $100,000 for Tamara Shealy Johnson. Not when two motherfuckers got platforms with 80,000 subscribers. Goddamn it, $1 from everybody would have got $160,000. That's a lot of money. She got 100,000 votes with 25 grand. What the hell do you think she could have done with $100,000? Who gives a fuck how much money Warnock was getting from the Democratic Party? We got people out. And she did that by herself on the ground with a few folks. We did it here in Ohio. I got a fucking judge put on the court with 5 people out door knocking, and we turned out 80,000 votes with 5 people. 5 people. To put a judge on the bench so she can stop black folks from getting evicted from their goddamn house. 5 people. When the Democratic Party spent $1.3 million to get her out of office. And my chapter said, oh hell no, we're gonna ride with you. She came to us for support, and we went out there and went door knocking. Why? Because that's where the people at. Everybody ain't on goddamn Twitter. Everybody ain't on fucking YouTube. Everybody ain't on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever the fuck you on. Everybody ain't on that. The people who vote are the people that stay next door to you. You got to go talk to these people. You know what I'm saying? You know, if nobody knows you, how the hell you gonna get anything done? If somebody got to introduce you to people all the time to get you in the door, then you ain't doing the job right. If you can get taken off a commission, but if you can get taken off a commission and you're supposed to be the damn leader, and the people up under you can get you booted, then you ain't leading shit. You ain't leading nothing. So stop playing games with folks and stop playing these games. Like, let's get serious about doing real work in politics and stop playing these damn games. We are in dire straits. The descendants of slaves, we know the data. 2053, we ain't gonna have zero wealth. But damn it, a lot of us are gonna be in our 60s, 70s years old. That means our grandbabies and our great grandbabies are gonna come into this shit broken than we did. And if that don't make you mad, and make you want to get your ass up off the sidelines and get in the game, then I don't know what else the hell to tell you. Don't sit up and come talking to me about your shit all fucked up if you ain't trying to change. Because we have to change our own situation. We have to do that. This ain't no do for self shit. This is do for the community.
Right.
Indeed.
This is do for the community. And I'm done. I'm sorry.
Hold on,
That motivated me, so I had to kind of get that off.
No, I'm glad you did. That was powerful. Hold on 1 second, Sister Dawn. 1 second, because I want to come to Brother Dante, but what did you wanted to touch on something that Brother Mark spoke to?
Nah. He said it all. Actually, he said everything that needed to be said. That's it.
Yeah, he basically got that one.
Go ahead, Sister Dawn.
I wanted to know if you I wanted to know how much time you had left. I wanted to know if you had time to talk about HR 40 and what a scenario looks like if that passes as is. You know, what does leadership look like in that scenario for the reparationists?
I think that, this is my opinion, I actually sat up last night and I was up to like almost 3 a.m. just revising the language of HR 40. And I didn't even look at Dr. Darity's edits. I just went with, just off the head. I said, I'm going to go back and then I'm going to add Dr. Darity's edits as well. And I was saying to myself, this is so simple. There are lawmakers who are lawyers, etc., who can probably do a better job than even I did with what I did last night, right? I just had this because we were on Clubhouse last night and we were talking about HR 40. And I just looked at it again. I was like, this is extremely problematic. So I said, let me edit this thing. I wonder how it would look, with the proper language, right? Based on our conversations, etc. So I just wanted to throw that in there to say that this thing is easy to be edited. Leadership will look scattered if HR 40 is passed the way that it is currently drafted. And because you have people that have written themselves into the bill, and I mean, they've written language into the bill. They have dates that are off. They have sequences in their sentence syntax that is off. And I'm like, I'm sitting there last night like, I didn't go to school. I'm a dude from the hood. I'm an autodidact. I'm self-taught. And I'm like, this is kind of problematic. A lot of the sentence syntax structure in this thing is kind of off right here. So I'm like, they should have been revised this bill. And I think that if it's allowed to go, we look at this movement, I'll call the movement, the ADOS movement. And the fact that
the reparations movement.
Yeah, no. I'm talking about the ADOS organization.
Okay.
Right? And that we didn't take the weight of the groundswell that was created behind reparations. And it's hard to say we, right? Because we weren't leading that thing insofar as being its voices to the rest of the public, in the sassy blue checks versus other sassy blue checks. It's just that some of the sassy blue checks don't have blue checks, right? So we weren't able to get that push to say HR 40 needs serious revisions. We are going to yell this at the top of the mountain. This is where we're going to start from. We are going to start from HR 40. But because certain individuals have personal axes to grind based on the fact that they started a bunch of beef, and y'all know who I'm talking about, Yvette Carnell, right? Because they had personal axes to grind with lead economists in this reparation space, then they basically said, well, I'm taking my ball and I'm leaving the park and can't nobody play. You see? That's my take on it.
I want to offer that possibly the ADOS movement, the purpose of the ADOS movement was to derail HR 40.
Mm.
And that so many things, of course, the news is coming out. And I'm just wondering if we had that conference and now we have this controversy around Dr. Nora Shelton and, what was going on? Why did they have that conference? What is the connection with the ADOS and him, signing up for the name? And then just basically, I just felt like once we left the conference, instead of us coming out of the gate running, it was like we hit a wall almost. I mean, we decided that we were going to organize after that. But after that, it was like a marked, obvious attempt to, keep us from doing any type of activity, any kind of direct action following that. And I just find it curious because I'm starting to hear some things and I'm just wondering if we're even looking at HR 40 the right way. I mean, there's strategy involved. There's a reason why that people use word executive orders or legislation in certain ways because you don't, for instance, when Coretta Scott King was trying to, or when Dr. King and Coretta Scott King were moving into the final phase of economic inclusion, one of the things that they considered was racial hatred and jealousy, and the federal jobs program was part of the strategy to mollify that, to mitigate racial hatred. You would have a federal jobs guarantee, and that would offset any backlash from Black people being included in. And I just feel like I don't know. I just feel like that they just have kind of captured this energy, and that we're like just out of hand dismissing HR 40. I know that there are problems with it, but I do know that there's also a markup sessions. There's a period of time where bills go through the sausage making process. And just like, you have Trojan horses, or you have, language that is written so that it will pass certain hurdles. And I'm just wondering if the ADOS movement isn't like some deep state move to have us undermine our own, reparations movement that's being pushed further, and having us say, well, we don't want Africans who got here to get anything. We don't want Caribbeans, because to tell you the truth, when I look at it again, and I hope Dr. Derry's not watching, but when I was reading through the bill, I'm like, okay, I see there are basically 3 specific payment periods. And I'm not even gonna think about what Dr. Derry, he's probably like screaming at the screen. But I'm just saying, I just think we need to have at some point, probably not on not on TV, but I think there might be a bigger conversation. I see what you're saying about, I know he's talking about the movement being a honeypot, but I'm just saying, I think that we have to have a scenario for that right there, that we might need to pivot to, I don't know, we might need to pivot to what kind of proposals do we want to see? We might need to pivot. No, we want to make sure that 2/3 of the board of the commission is ADOS or is a descendant of U.S. chattel slavery. It might be time for us to say, yeah, we want editors shredded, but it might be time to move to the next phase and have our big boy pants ready to deal with it passing as is. This, of course, the Reparationist Collective, on January 18th, we did the press release with our top 6 demands. The top one is the Presidential Commission, which completely supersedes HR 40. So I'm saying if HR 40 were to pass, we can still push for the presidential commission because it's different. It's written, the language is different. If HR 40 passed and we say, no, we don't want to push number one, we want to push number two. Because truth be told, that economic empowerment executive order mirrors the economic empowerment executive order in place for Asian American and Pacific Islanders. Number two is where the real meat is. Everything on that list again is doable. It is within Biden's power to have a jobs program. The president has a discretionary budget, but I won't go deeper into that. But I just want to say that we probably need to think about that scenario of that passage, because believe it or not, evil does win often in this world. And no weapons formed against us shall prosper, but our feelings could get real hurt. But I do want to say that we do have a plan. We have a plan A, B, and C, because the Reparationist Collective came together and we said we're not going to sit around and wait. And I also want to shout out to the assembly and all the people that have stood up, you know, in light of this kind of fracture that we've had with the cult, with the break and tone cult, which has been relegated properly to where they belong, which is on YouTube. And that people have stood up, because what I was saying to several people, because we've met each other at the conference, a lot of these people I know in real life. And it is our responsibility. And what I would say to them, if asked, that this is our responsibility. We were all sitting here, just like we sat and we watched Obama be elected, and knowing that man was not black, he was not us, and we knew that. And we said, okay, we'll give him to the second term. And we knew he wasn't who we said he was. And we knew something was up in this scenario as well. And I'm just glad that, you know, we took the responsibility and said that this is our movement. Either we're going to fuck it up, because here we are. We just elected this man. He just emasculated our representatives when they went in there to discuss and say what their quote unquote demands were in exchange for the trifecta that we delivered, and we had nothing, or we had nothing as ADOS under the quote unquote leadership of the break and tone cult. We met back with them in November, and they were supposed to have a plan. I'm like, what were you doing all summer long? That's not leadership. That's grifting. That's taking the hopes for the last 2 years, gaslighting a whole group of people, a wealthless group of people who you have told that reparations is the key, the solution to their all of their problems. And then in each opportunity where you had a chance to amplify that, vilify that, lift up that platform with Tamara, with Tom Steyer, with Dr. Darity's book, with the HR 40 hearing, with the Supreme Court hearing, and on and on and on. Each time they failed the test of leadership. Each time clearly and plainly, with unforced error after unforced error. So I'm glad we came to the point where we said this is our movement. It is our responsibility, the buffer class, the ADOS elite who are on this stage, and the people who came off the computer, who ingested that information, who were fed that information and swallowed that information, but then went on to lead with that information. And just like all good teachers, you want your students to graduate and go on to do great things if you are a true leader, if you are a true lover of your students. And I'm just glad that people stood up and took responsibility for this leadership for the next generation. This is our movement. We know what time it is. We know the forces that are out here against us. And that, you know, the best thing that we have going for us is to keep our eyes open and be honest.
Definitely. Look, we coming on 2 hours and 38 minutes. I don't like my chair. My brother Josh and the rest of the BTP team will tell you that I can't stand sitting in this chair. I'm gonna get a new one, but I just don't like sitting here
It's
too
too
long.
tall. It's a little too tall for
It
you.
could be. I think that's what it is. I'm gonna get a new one. I just haven't gotten one yet. But I think we need to. This is one of the reasons I've been said that we need to have a second channel. I just never pulled the trigger on it. And I think that this discussion that we had tonight needs to, really, really be for these types of discussions that we're having right now. And I think we do need to have a broader discussion on HR 40 and go over some of the problematic language again and really point out to people why this thing is just bad. And
Can I drop some tea? Can I drop one drop of tea?
Yeah, go ahead, sis.
I'm just gonna say, I talked to somebody today, and I was told that when ADOS came on the scene, that Cobra reached out to Yvette and Antonio and welcomed them to the reparations fight.
Mm-hmm.
And their response was to take that letter, that greeting, that welcoming letter, and read it on their show. Or Yvette took that letter, read it on her show, and declared them the enemy. And that's very consistent pattern behavior. If you recall the letter, the request for a meeting that was then all of a sudden became a grievance that was then used to shut down communication with the chapters. But yeah, so I don't know.
We ain't following and swallowing
really
nothing on this side of the nation.
Pardon?
So we not following and swallowing nothing on this side of the
nation. Precisely.
Definitely. If anybody has any closing statements, let's start with Brother Dante. He hasn't spoke too much. Then we'll go to Mark, and then we'll go to Sister Angela Nirvana, because we know Angela Nirvana closing statement is going to be a little bit longer than just a regular closing statement.
And I'm going to say thank you for having me. I'm going to sign off, and Tara to send her regrets. She had to put her son down.
Definitely. Shout out to Sister Tara. Shout out for coming through, Sister Dawn.
No doubt. Closing remarks for me is simple, man. Thank you for having me on the show. We're still out here doing work in New Jersey, just because whatever happened between Yvette and Tone, we're still out here doing, work on the ground out here. So, listen, it was an honor and pleasure to be with everyone on the show. I would love to definitely do it again. It was nice seeing you all. Listen, you all have a blessed night. Thank you.
You too, brother. Thank you, man. Thank you for coming through.
No problem.
Yeah, Sister Angela Nirvana. I already know you about to heat it up about to warm it up before we get up out of here. I already know.
I'm gonna try to be brief. Y'all know I was born to talk. Y'all know it.
Hey,
y'all know who y'all invited to the show.
I said, wait a minute, we got Angela and Sister Dawn. I don't know how we gonna balance this one out tonight, bros.
Wow, really? We're gonna go like that. We're gonna do like that.
I don't know how we gonna do this one tonight, bros, but it went great. It went great.
I do try to play nice in the sandbox. I want to thank you guys so much for inviting me to this amazing gathering of like minds and spirits and energy and supreme, deep-seated love for American descendants of chattel slavery. It always warms my heart to share the stage with such opulence and excellence, because this is the truth of who we are. Always remember, family, that you are the face of God. You are the voice of God. You are the body temple of the Spirit of God. So until I see y'all in the social media spaces, either on my show or here or wherever I am, speaking up loud and proud, as an American descendant of chattel slavery, you guys make it a beautiful, God-inspired rest of your week. Thank you. Be the power. See?
I aim your
You're on mute, bro.
you're on mute.
Yeah, my bad. Oh, go ahead, brother. Mark Stevenson.
Okay.
Then we're gonna go to Josh and we're gonna get up out of
Yeah.
here.
So my closing remarks is thank y'all for having me on. Like I said, I'm gonna apologize for being late. To the people who are watching, mobilize, activate, educate, move. That's all you gotta do. You motivate, educate, and move. You know what I'm saying? Empower yourselves to go do work. If it's one people or two people, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna leave y'all with this one. Neo said it best, right? I'm a movement by myself, but I'm a force when we together. So let's be that force. Let's be that force for reparations, right? Like we all can do this shit by ourselves in our own communities, but if we do it as a community, we're gonna be the force. And if we are the force, then we have no choice but to be the power.
Hey, I gotta give you the Angela.
There you go.
Yeah, brother Josh.
Hey, I am a reparationist.
That's
all I
right.
got to
say.
I need that shirt.
Yeah, Dr. Logic makes those shirts. Our brother Logic makes those shirts. I just want to say to the rest of the family, I know certain chapters have had certain issues. This is Be the Power, and we don't care about none of them issues. We invite everybody to come on this platform to speak and build, and we are hopeful that in this push forward that we could resolve some of those issues, because I am of the belief that many of those issues festered due to poor leadership. There are teams, right? Basketball teams, football teams, baseball teams, where fights occur. Fights occur on a team. You have teammates that really don't speak to each other the whole season. They get to that championship game, they win that championship. Everybody is high-fiving each other, and bygones are bygones. And one of the jobs of a coach is to mediate, and because there were no coaches to mediate, certain rifts that happen within certain chapters were allowed to fester to the point where an infection, if I can use that term, set in. And, there was no penicillin administered, there was nothing to kill the infection, and it was allowed to spread and grow and grow and grow and grow. But I think what we are exhibiting now is what leadership looks like outside of what we perceived to be leadership. And so now it is incumbent upon us. It's incumbent upon us to sit down and get over our differences to the point where we can work. We might not directly work together, but we can work over here and work over there without anybody taking any shots at each other. Be like, oh yeah, no, they doing their thing over there. We all moving towards the same goal, though. Sign up right here. Thank you. Have a nice day. You see what I'm saying? So, and I just say that from a coach's perspective, and I'm speaking to the other coaches that are in this movement that may have those issues. I pray that those issues are resolved, because we want everybody to come onto BTP. I don't ever want nobody to think that they can't come on the Be the Power platform because they have an issue with somebody else. When you come on this platform, we all family, and we ain't letting none of that other stuff take place here. Not while I'm on the mic. Check 1, 2. So
can I do a shameless plug where they can find me tomorrow at 5 o'clock?
Of course.
Yes, it is The Reparationist Perspective, also known as Friends of ADOS TV, tomorrow night, Friday, 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. You can find me in Twitter, Facebook, and Periscope. Oh, wait, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I hope to see all of this beautiful energy over there in my chat. You guys know you're my co-host.
I'd like to do a shameless plug for the
definitely,
March for Reparations.
And I might be up there. I might be pulling up.
Yeah, I'd like to do
Yeah.
a plug for the March for Reparations. We're going to be marching on DC on Valentine's Day, and we're hoping that people go to marchforreparations.com if they want to organize a local march. But we're going to be going to Washington to deliver our list of 6 demands. And I don't know if you're ready to close. I got the Reparationist Collective March commercial queued up. Now, I don't know if that's possible.
Let's close out with the Reparationist March
That's
commercial.
it.
Share your screen.
Let's hope.
Because I'm 95% sure that I'm pulling up. So
okay, let's see if I can do this. Let's
while
hope.
you're doing that, let me just let everybody know who's new to this channel. Make sure that you subscribe. Excuse me. I'm still dealing with a little cough.
The screen is not sharing.
Yeah. Let me.
How you feel? Tell him what kind of hell
Was it show?
It's a process.
I can do it if you need me to. Is it on the website?
Trying to be inspirational, trying to go out inspirational. That was a hashtag fail.
It's all good. It's all good. We're gonna make sure that we have more conversations like this. So it's all good. Matter of fact, you can send the video to me. I'll upload it to the channel, and we're gonna go from there. Y'all already know the motto of Be the Power is don't just fight the power, become the power. And then and only then will you have the power to make a change. And with that, I say peace.
Thank you so much. Y'all are the bomb. Diggity.